All righty. Again, welcome again. This is Scott Kelly, and welcome to our VC Fast Pitch. Now I'm being recorded, and welcome all of our presenting companies, investors, and attendees. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to throw a couple of things into our chat. Let's see. I am going to put my contact information. I actually just went to Ash. I'll make sure it goes to everybody right now. Okay, that's me. And now I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go through just a little bit of a homework, or actually prep to get us started. Bear with me. Okay. Can everyone see my screen? If you can see my screen, give me a thumbs up. Fantastic. Again, welcome everybody to our VC Fast Pitch. We've been doing these events for about 10 years now, and many of you have either been on our panel live or in person, live or online, and some of you have been presenting live or online. So for those of you who are coming back, welcome back. And those of you on your first time, thanks for being here. So a couple of things. Here's our agenda for today. I'm going over some of the opening remarks right now. In just a few minutes, I'm going to ask our investor panelists to unmute themselves and introduce themselves. So I'll have them go around the virtual room and really do three things. Tell us about yourself and your company briefly. Share a little bit about the stage and the type of investments you make. And then three, for the sake of our presenters, tell them what you want to hear from their presentation. So after we go through that, we are going to have our company presentations. And basically how it's going to work for entrepreneurs, you're running the show. You will be given control of the screen. You will pull up your screen and screen share, and then you'll be given exactly 5 minutes. For those of you who have been to my event before, I have used cowbells. I have used whistles. I have made inappropriate noises to stop you at 5 minutes. So 30 seconds left, you will get a warning from me. So on our first half, we have 6 companies presenting. We have Marcus Blackwell from Make Music Count, Michael from Lovely Rita Spirits, Demitrius, and again, I apologize for spelling your name incorrectly, from College Cash. He has graciously offered to reverse his order with Tracy Hazzard from Podetize. Then we'll have Jamie Gold and Ron Wexler from Skybx, Jason for Zeva. And then we'll take a short break and we'll ask the investors some of their feedback on the first round of companies. And then we'll move into our second round. We have Evan from Game Gym, Joe Weber from Pod, Harpreet from SubX, Manav from Panther Quant, Christopher Chong from SST Wireless, and Gary Christensen from Pro Tracker Archery. Again, after they do their 5-minute pitch, we'll have approximately 5 to 7 minutes of questions for each presentation. And then we're going to end the day with the part I tend to like the most is our fireside chat. And I think this is your opportunity to ask the questions to the investors. You can ask them about what company they like the best, what they could have changed about their pitch. We'll ask our investor panelists to give us some feedback on their pitch, on the pitches they liked, and then obviously maybe some general, market conditions or conditions about the environment for investing. So there's our agenda. So we're still admitting a few people. Bear with me. So I've got a great group of investor panelists, which we will share and go through in just a minute. And again, in just a moment, I'm going to ask our panelists to do the raise hand button and do their intro. And then when you do your intro, investors, if you could also do us a favor, if you'd like, either put into chat either your contact information, your website, or if you have a link to submit, for potential investment, put that in chat as I introduce you. Obviously, as I mentioned, these are presenting companies in the first and second rounds. Now, here are some of the rules. Make sure your audio is muted until you're prompted to unmute. We want to try to avoid any background noise. If you have a question, use that hand up feature that we all practiced. And for our presenting companies, after each 5-minute pitch, there'll be approximately 5 minutes of Q&A. What I recommend for the investors, make them 1-part questions as opposed to 3-part questions. And for the entrepreneurs, answer the question. Don't use it as an opportunity to say something else. If they're asking a question because they want that answer. Next, allow the investors the opportunity to ask questions to the companies first. Now, we have a lot of people that are just listening in. You'll get your chance at the end. So again, please allow our investors to do that first. And then towards the end, keep in mind a couple of things. Oh, I just previewed my last slide. I apologize. But we'll get that in just a second. Keep in mind, a question is not an opportunity to pitch. Okay. If you construct it as such, I will mute you. And then don't post in chat until prompted to do so. And then finally, for some of you have been at my event before, you know what we like to start this off with, that famous line from Jerry Maguire. So on the count of 3, I want you to unmute your mics and yell out, "Show me the money." 1, 2, 3.
Show me the money.
It's much better live, trust me. I was in Utah and we had a lot of excitement about that, but I got to do it anyhow. All right, please do me a favor, mute your mics again. All right, I am going to unshare my screen in just a moment. Okay, so let's do this. I am going to pull up. What I'd like to do first is, like I mentioned, I want to get some feedback prior to our presentations from some of our investor panelists. So if you are one of our investors, what I'd like to hear from you is, like I said, 3 things. Quick background about you and your company, a little bit of background about where you invest in terms of stage and industries, and then what you want to hear today. So Grant, you volunteered by posting up something in chat. So Grant, why don't you unmute yourself and tell us all about yourself?
Sure, Grant Van Cleve. I am an American, but do split my time between America and Europe. In Europe, Southern Europe, Albania, Northern Europe, Sweden. An early stage seed investor with TechCoastAngels, as well as leading a venture studio called Hangar 75. So love, lean and mean, and ready to pivot, excited entrepreneurs.
Fantastic, thanks, Grant. Nicole, why don't you introduce yourself? Hey there, Nicole. All right. Tim Holiday, I see you in the lower right here. Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, hey, Tim Holiday with Space Station Investments here in Utah. We're an angel group that does early stage, primarily early stage, but we have a pretty open, categories that we invest in, and we really specialize in strategic value of influencers and influencer marketing. We have a bunch of great creators that join us on our deals that bring audience, which is fun.
Also, what do you want to hear today, Tim, from the presenting companies?
I think progress is, kind of what's the actual progress, what's the actual movement. We're getting into a market where that's really what's going to matter and count, and just want to know how things are really moving, and not kind of sugarcoat, be real, and we can work through it.
Fantastic. Justin, why don't you share a bit about yourself and what you want to hear today?
Sure. Justin Dunion. I'm an analyst at Verstra Ventures. We're a Toronto-based corporate venture capital fund. We invest in industry-agnostic, vertical market, B2B SaaS businesses that are between seed and Series A stage.
Fantastic. What do you want to hear today, Justin?
Yeah, for me, I want to hear a clear value proposition and why your customers would choose you over some competitors on the market.
Fantastic. Joey, if you're feeling up to it, I'd love to have an intro from you and a little about what do you want to hear today, Joey?
Yeah, sure. Joey Rosati, based in Tampa, GP at Druid Ventures. It's an early stage Web3 crypto fund, but in addition, also do angel investing personally, which is really more the reason why I'm on this call. I've previously invested in companies who have pitched here and really enjoy it, and My one request, which I think did well last time, was, right before you're about to present, maybe just in the chat, pop in a couple key pieces of information, things that really helped a lot of us, which was, how much you looking to raise, what's your current valuation, give me your email, your name, company, like website. That way, for a lot of us, I think we're doing this on a computer. It's a quick copy paste into an Excel. And it really helps us not ask questions that maybe you're about to be asked if you otherwise didn't stick it in there.
Fantastic. Thanks, Joey. And wait a minute, hold on, Tracy and everyone else. Let's not post it now. Let's post it when you present. Okay. But thanks, Joey. And obviously for Joey, Tim and Justin, if you want to throw some contact information or anything relevant in chat, go ahead and do that. Asher's been, God, he has been to so many events. I think he should get like a gold star or something. So Asher, thanks for joining us again. Why don't you share a bit about us and what you want to hear today?
A bit about you guys. Okay.
About you, Asher.
You said a bit about us, so I was a bit confused there. So a bit about me, a little bit different. So I'm an angel investor, invested in about a little over 60 companies. I think of, don't keep true count of this stuff, but a number of them are unicorns, Thrive Market, Omaze, Density, off the top of my head. I'm agnostic in what I invest in. I love to learn about new stuff, so that's why I'm agnostic. And the beauty of being an angel is you can do what you want. So I don't have to. Don't have to respond to LPs and anybody else. So turns what I want to hear is metrics. So let me hear about metrics. That's the key.
Fantastic. Thank you, Asher. And if you want to throw any contact information in chat, feel free.
Already in there.
Oh, fantastic. Craig.
Hi, folks. My name is Craig DeCruz. I'm the COO of Inverted Ventures. We're based out of Calgary, Alberta. We're a single family office. We do angel investing, and we also have a crypto book. We do pre-seed and seed stage investments. We're pretty sector agnostic, even though lately we've been looking heavily into ag tech and carbon capture. What we're looking for in terms of, or what I'll be looking for in terms of the presentations is, I'd like to know why you're the best in the industry that you're in. I'd really like to hear why you believe you're number one in the industry and what differentiates you from the competition. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Greg. John Grant, nice to have you again. Tell us about yourself and what you want to hear today.
Yeah, hi, I'm John. I work as an independent consultant. I call the firm Lemnos Advisory. I also invest in 4 angel groups, and a couple of VC funds. And my background was large company corporate development and general management in a large organization. So I've done a lot of deals. When I look for in these types of presentations, really a couple things. I mean, some evidence of customer traction, like real customer traction, differentiation, the team, is the team credible and experienced? And then lastly, what really is the ask? I think that came up in some other things, but specifics around the deal and the deal terms. Thanks very much.
Thanks, John. Feel free, if you haven't already, post something you will contact in chat. That would be great. Farrell, welcome again.
Hi, thank you for having me. So I manage a pre-seed and seed stage fund. It's a traditional venture fund. Our focus areas are deep tech, enterprise SaaS, and consumer tech. So we've had really great traction so far. I'm also part of UC Berkeley's accelerator and incubator program called Skybx. And yeah, here to see exciting ideas, but also really stellar performance on some of the key metrics that we look for in terms of growth metrics.
Fantastic. Thank you. Michael Edmondson.
Thanks, Scott. Nice to be here today. Thanks for hosting all this. Michael, I'm calling in from New York. I work at Radiant Capital, which is a New York City-based growth equity firm spin out of Bain Capital Ventures, where we invest in pure B2B software and tech-enabled services. with occasional dabble in consumer. We have about $1 billion in AUM, investing out of a $500 million third fund, and we tend to be on the later side of things. So investing like Series A, Series B. So we like to make relationships early with companies that are really, focused on a particular vertical or are spreading in the ecosystem. We've been building out our spokes in Tampa as well. So it's really happy to see, Scott, you've moved over there. As far as something I like to hear from presentations, I think other folks have touched on a lot, but I think maybe what's unique to what we're looking for is hearing a bit about your approach to profitability and how profitability marries with your growth strategy. It's our view and one of our maxims that all businesses eventually trade off of cash flow. So I guess we'd love to hear some story about how in 5 years you think you can not just be a huge company, but be a profitable one. So, thanks.
Fantastic. Thanks, Michael. David Friedman, how are you today?
Hey, never had it so good. Yeah, thanks for letting me attend, Scott. Appreciate it. Always good to see you. I'm a former tech executive. I'm now vice chairman of TechCoastAngels. We have about 400 investors in 5 networks. We just added Meta Angels, which focuses on the health tech market, Pasadena Angels, to our current TCA, Orange County, TCA LA, and TCA Inland Empire. As such, we're pretty agnostic. We invest across a variety of market spaces, from pre-seed, but mostly seed, bridge to A, early A, and Meta Angels in the health tech area will invest in later stage companies as well. What I want to hear is scalability, massification of your business, so you don't wind up just so narrowly constrained. And a lot of what was said before, I'd like to understand the cap or the valuation, the deal structure. I really want to understand the story. I want to understand why you have sustainable differentiation, because if it's not sustainable, it doesn't do any good. What's your moat? I'd like to understand the traction, even if you're early stage, the letters of intent, who you're working with. And frankly, I want to understand early on, before you get into this rambling presentation, what your elevator pitch is, so I can get the context of who your target market is, why you're different than what the presumptive competition is out there. So it helps frame my overall perspective on the deal.
Fantastic. Thanks, David. Thanks, David. David, if you haven't already, just get through your contact or information in chat. Moshe, are you there?
Yeah. Hi, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming here.
Thanks for coming here. I appreciate it. Moshe Newman from Brooklyn, New York. So I'm doing 10 years investing in early stage companies. Been investing about 50 companies so far. One successful SoQ is one of my early investments. So sweet spot is very early stage, could be the first check, pre-seed, seed, like deep tech, especially fintech, healthcare, prop tech, where I have experience, but we are opportunity agnostic, so we can look at anything. Check size could be from 25K to a couple hundred K, plus it could bring in some few million, depends on the deal. Where I would like to hear elevator pitch is good to be on the same page. I'd like to hear the problem you're solving and why you, the team, is very important, and how you're going to make money.
Fantastic. If you haven't already, throw your information.
Okay, let me put the information. We'll do it. Thank you.
I think Pablo,
Pablo, you there? Hey, can you guys hear me?
We can.
Hey, so I'm Pablo from 161 Ventures. We're a new venture fund investing at the pre-seed stage. We're based out of Florida, and we also run an accelerator program. So we opened the venture arm in February, and we've now made our first 6 investments, and we tend to focus on B2B SaaS and GovTech. And yeah, I'll drop our website in the chat. But today I want to hear about why you're building what you're building and how it solves somebody's problem.
Fantastic. Thank you. Have I missed anybody? If I missed any of our investors, please raise your hand. Okay, we got a hand raised. Who did I miss? Who was there? We got a couple. All right, for those of you have hand raised, Chase, I want you to introduce yourself to everybody, and then we'll hit Dalton.
Yeah, Chase, Sweater Ventures, the first venture fund that anyone can invest in, accredited, unaccredited. We invest from the seed stage to Series B. Check sizes vary depending on stage, typically 250K to $1 million. I think one of the things, obviously, the things that everyone else mentioned were great, and I'd love to see all those as well. But another thing would be barriers to entry. What is going to prevent someone that's much larger than you from doing the exact same thing?
Fantastic. Thank you, Chase. Dalton, welcome. Tell us about yourself and what you want to hear.
Thanks, Scott. My name is Dalton Scatch. I live in New York City. I work for American Express Ventures. I focus on travel, dining, entertainment, and ESG. And we focus on C to Series B. And what I want to see is some conviction today. And that's it.
Conviction. Yeah, be passionate. Be borderline obnoxious, but be passionate.
Why
Okay?
are you the one? Exactly.
Exactly. Why are we going to give you our money? Okay. Don't be a wet rag. Patrick, let's love to hear about what you want to hear today.
Sure. Patrick Rowland, Senior Associate with Fulcrum Equity Partners out of Atlanta, Georgia. We are a growth stage fund investing typically Series A with occasional Series B investments. We can invest up to 30 million in any one company, though typically start with 5 to 15 million as our sweet spot. And we do that across healthcare IT, and B2B SaaS for the most part. Today, I just want to hear the three sort of basic tenets of a pitch: problem, solution, business model. And beyond that, just the story of your growth to the extent you have a lot of growth in the future. It always helps to frame that in the context of your historical growth and kind of how you bridge the two. So thanks, Scott.
Fantastic. Thanks, Patrick. Thank all of our investor panelists. We'll be hearing from you very soon. But now this is the fun part, or at least it's fun for me. Is where we're going to have our first group of presenters. So I just put in the chat our first group of investors. So we're going to start with Marcus Blackwell in just a second. So Marcus, everyone else, please make sure you're muted. Marcus, have your presentation in the queue ready to go? Yes. You can unmute yourself too, Marcus.
Yes, I'm all set.
All right, Marcus. So here it is for everybody else. I've coached some of you. Actually, I've coached most of you. What I'm going to do is, Marcus, why don't you put your presentation on share screen so we can all see it? All righty. And then when you are in presentation mode, fantastic. All right, Marcus, I think you know the drill. I'm going to count you down, 3, 2, 1. You've got 5 minutes. You'll get a 30-second left cue. You ready, Marcus?
Yes.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good afternoon. My name is Marcus Blackwell. I'm the CEO and founder of Make Music Count. We're an online tutoring platform centered around our patented math curriculum taught by learning how to play your favorite song on the piano. The problem that we're solving, as the pandemic showed us, that students are struggling worse than ever in education, especially in mathematics, and they need more creative tutoring resources. But the pandemic showed us that it wasn't just tough for students, it was also tough for teachers who are even leaving the school day, and they need other opportunities to earn revenue. And so our solution is our own online tutoring platform that is structured around our patented Make Music Count curriculum. And so it looks like this, where teachers literally come to our platform and say, hey, I would like to teach algebra, for example, that focus on Drake songs. We create those lessons for them, and they're able to teach those lessons online to students. But before we go too far, let's take a look at what a Make Music Count example actually looks like, okay? So, share my screen again really quick. All right, so this is how it works. What we've done, you're solving math equations where the answers are the piano notes to learn how to play your favorite song. So for example, the lesson that we're gonna learn today focuses on fractions and is featuring the song Do It by Hallie and Chloe. And so the way this works, your question pops up. We are looking at the piano as if it were a number line, and you're counting in half intervals. So F plus 1, F to F sharp is a half, and F sharp to G is 1. And so you push the key to answer your question. And when you finish your question, your reward is that you'll be able to play the exact notes to play the song. Here we go. All right, does everybody get the gist of that? You just saw the ability to apply direct mathematics where the ability and reward is to be able to play the song on the piano, even if you've never played before. So this is a huge market. The online tooling market is a $6 billion space. There are 1 billion students in schools, and even our online platform will work during the school day as ESSER funding is being steered towards platforms where that are going to be able to use during the school day as well. And then there's just a ton of songs that can be used. So our business model, it's a 30-minute session that teachers are able to teach. Tutors can have up to 10 students in their class. We split the revenue 70-30 with the teacher. All tutors must subscribe to the Make Music Count app, which is for $4.99 a month. And you can also purchase our workbooks as well. So in addition to our platform, we have other verticals. Number one, we're a freemium app subscription in the App Store, which can stand alone. And we also are a supplementary resource for school districts. That's how we've been operating for the past 9 years. Last year, we did almost $300,000 in revenue by licensing our app and selling workbooks to school districts. And then the last vertical is that our app has created a new space for music streaming. So we're now in some really exciting conversations with some major streaming platforms that are going to view our uniqueness of teaching math with music as a new distribution and channel for their artists and labels to earn additional revenue during the actual school day. This is our team. We've got some really tremendous advisors that are in the ed tech space, and then web designers and app developers that have really done a fantastic job building our platform and app. We are seeking a $2 million investment in order to make our app even better, to make key hires. We've spent a lot of our funding so far on building a tremendous app that really is a home run every time it is in front of kids, whether it's 2nd grade through 12th grade. And the reason for that is because, again, what we're presenting is not just creativity and math learning, but a culturally way to reach students so that you can meet them where they are. If you want to get kids excited about education, you got to meet them where they are. Here's some funding that we've already received from New Schools, Venture Fund, We Work Creator Awards, TechStars, and the Google Black Founders Fund. And we look forward to answering your questions and working with you as we move forward to scale what is really a tremendous issue that we have to solve to get math scores up. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to your questions.
Fantastic, Marcus. Great job. So if you can unshare your screen. So if we could, I'd like to our investors, if you have questions, use that raise hand function and I will call you as you come up. Anybody have a question for Marcus? All right, we've got one. Let's see. Okay, go ahead. I can't see who you are, so just, okay. Oh, David, go ahead, David.
Yeah, hey, interesting presentation. What's your traction right now? How much revenue do you have, and how are you going to market to get your brand out there into the into those people who want to? Are you going directly to people, to influencers, to coaches, to schools?
Yeah, great question. So our traction so far, we've served over 200,000 students through our app alone. Our online tutoring platform is brand new, but the way that we're going to go to market with our tutoring platform is through strategic partnerships. For example, we're going to be working with the Big Brothers Big Sisters. That's going to funnel us tutors to be on the platform and kids in that space. As I mentioned before, the ESSER money that's going to school districts is now going to be specifically for funding online tutoring platforms. So that means going after RFPs, and it's in a scenario where we win one of those contracts, the teachers in the district will be able to be on the platform and their own students will be able to fill those seats.
Yeah, let me know what I can do to help you with BBBS, because I'm part of them in Orange County at Santa Ana.
Oh, thank you.
So
Fantastic.
just send me a note. Also, take a look at Investors of Color. They may be able to help you with funding.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, David. Any other questions for our panelists? Okay, we've got another raised hand. Go ahead, Justin.
Thanks for the presentation, Marcus. These students that are using the app, where are they based?
Yeah, so we've been working with school districts, honestly, for the past 9 years. So our school partners are throughout the US, mainly in the Northeast Connecticut and New York area, and here in Atlanta where we're based. And we're just now getting our foot in the door into the California market as well. We do have a couple, just 1 or 2 schools that are in other countries. And that's really one of the biggest advantages, is that what we've created is a universal solution, because math and music apply to everyone. So we can take songs and other languages and make them into lessons as well.
Thank you.
Awesome. We have time probably for 1 or 2 more questions. Anybody have a question?
Marcus, I have one question, which is how you guys track success from both company standpoint, but also from a user student standpoint, and how you track it over time.
Yeah, so number one, we track math performance in the app. So after the song plays, there's a math quiz after every lesson to finish things off. So we average your performance of that, which is a great way for students to see how well they're doing. But secondly, we built this company in the trenches with the students. We built our curriculum based on feedback. So students love our platform so much, they start requesting songs that they would like to see as math lessons. That lets us know that they're enjoying the experience. And it turned into not just, hey, can you add my favorite artist, but can you add this math subject because this platform will help me learn. So that's how we've been tracking our success.
Fantastic. All right. All right, Marcus, great job. All right. It's not easy going first, so let's do a little virtual round of applause for Marcus there. Fantastic, fantastic.
Thank you, everyone.
All righty, next up, we have Michael from Lovely Rita Spirits. Michael, are you ready? Michael, you there? Michael, unmute yourself, please. Oh, there we go. We got the screen up. We got that part. All right, Michael, unmute yourself. And I'm going to count you down 3, 2, 1. You're still muted, Michael, according to my screen. So we need to have the microphone not in red. Unless, of course, you want to do, there we go.
Okay.
All right, Michael, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, I'm going to count you down. 3, 2, 1.
Hold on. I don't see the screen with the slides.
Oh, I do.
Okay.
Well,
all right. I'm good.
All right, Michael, I'm going to count you down. 3, 2, 1, go.
I'm Michael Meinerz, president of Lovely Rita Spirits. I have a 35+ year background with startups and in the association, trade show, lobbyist, restaurant, medical, and real estate worlds. We are looking for a $10 million investment. Lovely Rita Tequila was introduced in 2017 as a supportive program to projects I had been developing aimed at the Latino community. Lovely Rita was an opportunity and a challenge for my wife and I to create a spirit we really both loved, but were often disappointed with what we found in the market. We were only going to produce a silver tequila, and we were only going to sell it in Arizona. Within a year, with just me as a part-time salesperson, we were able to place Lovely Rita into over 200 on and off premise outlets, including Total Wine and Bevmo. We also earned gold medal recognition in every worldwide tasting competition we entered. At that point, we made a decision to evaluate the possibility of growing the brand nationally or even internationally. So we hired a brand specialist who worked with us to 1, evaluate the opportunities and limitations of our current product, 2, develop multiple strategies to consider if we were to move forward, and 3, find people with the industry experience to create and manage a successful strategy. We selected the look, the strategy, and the initial team to add to our almost $1 million investment that I and our initial investors had already put into the product. The goal was to take lovely Rita to the next level where we would attract another large investor. There were some potential investors that we may have worked with along the way, but it wasn't until 2021 that we found a group who took the time to understand our strategy, our team, and the industry. At that point, the question became, how much is needed to become a major brand sooner rather than just trying to bootstrap the company to become a successful, smaller brand in the tequila space? Tequila is the fastest growing segment in the spirits industry, valued at $9.89 billion in 2021 and projected to grow from $10.43 billion in 2022 to $15.57 billion in 2029. Premiumization, especially in the tequila space, is the trend, with consumers choosing quality over quantity and the industry doing its best to offer an exceptional beverage experience to the consumer. We want to be in this market because we have a superior product and we have the strategy that will work. We hired Yael Fanotis to develop multiple scenarios given different funding levels. While anyone can put together pro formas, it's important to understand that Yael does the pro formas for peak companies like Pernod Ricard, Diageo, Jim Beam, Smirnoff, and many, many others. And he covers all the nuances that somebody outside the industry would not even be aware of. So we consider his pro formas to be deadly accurate. Also, in the liquor industry, the amount invested directly relates to the sales price of the company, assuming the company is touching all the bases in their development. For example, Casamigos invested $10 million and sold for $1 billion. And that was predictable because they did touch all the bases in their development work. We know what they did, and we know how they did it, and we know who they worked with to make it happen. And we have the people who can do the same. Johan van Ziel has over 2 decades of experience in the premium spirits and champagne space. He has held high-level positions in marketing and trade management while at Pernod Ricard. He managed the development of Olmeca Altos Tequila for a decade. With his understanding of consumer and trade dynamics, he will develop our customer and trade strategies and make certain we are delivering on critical metrics. Alberto Navarro has a wealth of experience in the spirits world as well, having held key positions with global companies, including Pernod Ricard. Revered in the tequila world, he has written a definitive book on tequila, and he is also a master distiller for a few tequila companies. He will work with our distillery and our suppliers in Mexico to ensure quality control and manage supply chain issues. He will also manage Lovely Rita's Bold Action marketing program. Susan Stoller has worked across many, many industries. With her experience and contacts, she will help us creatively and successfully communicate with both our consumer and trade publics. Since 2006, George Allen has been helping liquor industry companies in every area of management. His familiarity with existing distributors and his knowledge of emerging retail patterns will enable George to set up and manage the most viable distribution program. Thank you.
All right, good job, good job. All righty, if you could, Michael, if you could unshare your screen, that would be great.
Okay.
And then if we could have our investors do their hand raised, that would be great. Anyone have a question? And while we're waiting for questions, make sure, Michael, you put your contact or any information about your company in chat. Okay, any questions? Anybody like tequila? I love tequila. I'm going to buy the product, absolutely. So, all right, I'm gonna just start picking on people. So let's see, Jolene, you just came in, so you're a part of it, but you're a pro at this. So you have a question for Michael and his tequila brand.
Well, unfortunately, I had to join late. I was very impressed with the team, and there are definitely a lot of experienced people in this space. I'd like to know since I missed the first part, always looking at the margins and the competition.
Good question again, Michael.
Okay, well, I told you what the market is growing to. We figure by year 6, our sales volume will be 150,000 cases for 104.
My question was your competition.
What about your competition, Michael? What makes you better?
The quality And the design, those bottles, nobody has, we designed those bottles ourselves. Every place we're in is just begging for us to have those bottles because they're beautiful and the product is absolutely beautiful. We've tasted, we do have samples of the Reposado, the Añejo, and the Extra Añejo Cristalino, and we've tasted people. And as good as the silver was in winning a gold medal in every competition, the other ones are going to be even better.
God, I wish we could actually do samples during these presentations. All right. We have another.
Visit my office.
Yeah. All right. We have another hand raised. Go ahead. Ask your question to Michael.
Hey, Michael. Great presentation. The one question I have is in terms of, you have every celebrity kind of starting up tequila brands right now and taking market share, The Rock, Kevin Hart, George Clooney, whatever it may be. How do you compete with that when you have those types of marketing machines behind multi-billion-dollar stars?
Well, when it comes to celebrities, with Susan Stolder on our team, we can get any celebrity we want. And the thing about celebrities, it's all about distribution. That's the secret. And that's, George Clooney had 2 other partners. The guy in the background, Melman, he was the one who made it happen. He's very, very involved in retail distribution. He knows everybody in the liquor distribution world. And so he worked that. And we have those kind of contacts. So that's how we can compete with one of the companies that did the best job at it so far.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, one more question for Michael. All right, Chase, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a question around distribution, actually. What kind of distribution partners are you guys currently working with, and how many states are you in as of now, and what does the roadmap to that look like?
Sure. We've only been in Arizona. When we do all the new bottles and start, we will immediately expand to Florida, Texas, California, Colorado, as well as Arizona, as well as we're going to focus on the cities of Las Vegas, Chicago, and New York. And we are already talking to distributors about that. And the idea is we've worked in Arizona with Breakthrough, but we're going to negotiate with every distributor that's out there. Southern Glacier being the largest, Breakthrough being the second largest, RNDC being the third largest. But in a lot of states like Texas, you're going to need at least 3 distributors because it's just too big.
Thanks, Chase. Thanks, Michael. All righty. Next up, we have Tracy Hazzard from Podetize. So Tracy, if you can get your screen ready and put it in share screen mode, that would be great. All right,
just one sec, and I'll put it there. You go for you.
All right, I'm going to count you down. 3, 2, 1, Tracy. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi, I'm Tracy Hazzard. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Podetize. Brandcasters Inc. is the name of the company, and Podetize is our front-facing brand. We're making business-to-business podcast monetization and discovery actually profitable. We're in the media and ad tech space. Our value cap is at 10 million, and we are doing a $2 million post-seed. The $4 billion podcast market isn't profitable at all right now. We want to turn that 4 billion podcast market into something that's actually profitable. And we've been proving that already. We have 1.23 million in revenue from last year, and we have done about 300,000 in prepaids from our 1,000+ clients for the past 3 years. We have 47 million listeners to our client shows every single month. The traditional podcast model, as I mentioned, is kind of broken. And if you don't know anything about the podcast market, there's 2.5 million podcast shows out there, but less than 2% of them qualify for ads. That's what's making up that $4 billion market. The 98% isn't in that at all. Plus, there's a 75% pod fade quit rate. And that's where shows quit after their first season before they ever hit 25 episodes. This happens really often at iHeartRadio, Wondery, all of those kinds of places like that, even Spotify shows. And right now there's only about 19,000 new shows launching monthly. So instead, we are looking at the marketplace from that business to business viewpoint. We're looking at it as a $500 billion direct response ad market. So when we look at it and we break that down, that means that we have a serviceable market of 500,000 shows, 20% of the market. And we triple the revenue, the lifetime value of those markets, plus their long-term value that they have overall. So we're looking at switching that model from looking at it as a media model to looking at it as a direct response ad model. Our competitors have silos, but we cover 5 in 1. We're already covering ad services, hosting SaaS, marketing services, creative services, and we have our recording microphone coming up. So we'll be hitting that 5th market before the end of the year. We just don't touch podcast players right now, but that's in our long-term future. We're very efficient and impactful with the products that we have. We've been creating production services since we started in 2017 as just an agency. When we added our SaaS in 2020, and we have our Podetize portal and our do-it-yourself system, including partnerships with SEMrush, Podchaser, AWS, and we'll be moving forward to adding Dolby as we come into Q1 2023. We also have one of the state-of-the-art ad systems and ad mixing systems, as well as our portal where you look at your statistics and you look at your podcast statistics and your website statistics side by side. We've already started a consumables partnership, which is an ad company that puts in advertisements across websites. That's already coming in, and our Podlister evaluation is coming in the Q4 of this year. And Podlister is the Zillow of podcasts, where you can look up your value of your show. We're proven authority founders already. This is my partner, Tom Hazzard, and my husband, and we've been working together for over 30 years. We've done 2.5 billion in consumer product goods over the years. Lots of those are tech products. We have 40 issued patents with an 86% commercialization rate. And we have a great advisory team. Most of them have podcasts. And if they don't, they're coming up soon. We're looking at $10 million value cap. That's actually pretty conservative for where we are in the marketplace and where we've already achieved with our traction. 500,000 of it was invested by us, the founders, in cash and equivalents, and we raised in April 200,000 through a crowd safe. We're looking at using our proceeds for the launching of Podlister. All the tech is completed, but we'll be using the launching of that, and the user acquisition. We'll be using some of it to launch the self-recording microphone, which launches in the first quarter of next year, and some portal upgrades to create more of a marketplace where we have the sort of engine behind it. We need that front-facing marketplace as we go forward. And so that's what we'll be using all our funds for. So if you're interested in investing in a platform for monetizing podcasts for all, then please feel free to ask me some questions. I look forward to talking with you.
Fantastic. Great, Tracy. If you could take your screen off share mode, that would be great. And I believe she put her information in chat already. So do we have questions from our investor panelists? Let's see those raised hands, please. All right, Farrell, go ahead.
Thank you. Great presentation. So quick question in terms of how you convert these opportunities into paid opportunities. Do you guys have any AP around the technology? Is it AI, ML? Just trying to get a better sense of how it works.
Yeah, great question. So, I mean, a lot of the discovery side of things is, I'm going to say, algorithmic driven. They are not completely AI driven at this time. We'll be adding that in the future, but it is machine learning in a sense because it's smarter. And as the algorithm gets more and more informed, we're completing that. But what we've done is we've taken I'm going to call it the smart side of our platform, and we've turned it into our valuation side. So Podlister is the example of how it works behind the scenes for us to tell if a podcast is actually worth it. So when you go out there and you see a show like Joe Rogan's, which is, has 2.2 million listeners per episode, not many people can compete with that. That really doesn't happen. I mean, that's 1% of the 2%, but most people can do between 5,000, 10,000 listeners per month. That's pretty average in the business to business. But if you've got a highly valuable market, let's say something like we used to have a podcast in 3D printing, and we actually had 100,000 listeners a month. We could get someone like HP to pay us $10,000 a month for advertisements, or to sponsor a webinar, or to do a sponsored series. So there's ways for us to look at the valuation. That's what we put in Podlister so that pretty much anyone can evaluate their show, understand what they need to do to improve it, and put it on a path for better discovery and better valuations at the end of the day. So it really completes you in terms of the overall creation of a podcast show that is highly valuable and doesn't just require a celebrity to make it work.
Thank you.
Great. Go ahead, Jolene.
Yeah, so I love the, what is it, Shoplister?
Podlister, yeah.
Podlister?
Shoplister, Liz, a little shoplifter.
Shoplister. See, I gave you a free one. So I'm just curious, what does anyone in your competition have a similar rating system where they can track? Because I'm familiar with radio and Arbitron ratings. So are you, how is the competition? What services are they offering?
That's a great question. And we do have a partnership with Podchaser, which it considers themselves the IMDb of podcasting. So they're kind of looking at it like star ratings, like they do for, you would consider it like reviews. So it's based on how much reviews do you have and things like that. And it's actually built into some of our algorithm. It's built in from the same information that comes from Podchaser, but the majority of it is built separately. So instead of looking at download numbers, we look at a whole host. There's about 60 different points that we're looking at to tell whether or not the valuation is happening. And we're actually doing it more on that Google AdWords model. So we're doing it in the niche. So that's why we call it the Zillow podcast. So it's like, it's in your neighborhood. And then what upgrades did you make to your home? Well, what upgrades did you make to your show? And there's a whole bunch of points that go along to that to tell whether or not you're really the top show in the real estate market or the top show in fintech or financial investing or any of those. That's how we're looking at it. Whereas every other system out there that evaluates shows looks at it from.
Interesting. Very exciting presentation. Love it.
Thank you.
Awesome. We have time for one more question for Tracy. Anybody want to hit her with a question before she goes and has fun on vacation or doing whatever she is?
I'll still be listening and I just won't be on camera.
Not a problem. Any other questions? Last question. I am going to, for the sake of self-promotion, I am going to put a link to a webinar that Tracy and I are hosting. Bear with me. It is on August 18th. It is absolutely free, and you can learn how to be a highly successful podcaster with Tracy and her guests on that show.
Eric Huberman is our guest, and he's just fantastic from Hawk Media, and he has a podcast for investors. So
fantastic. All right, last chance for questions. Going once, going twice. All right, Tracy, you can turn your screen off, turn your mute off, and run around in your pajamas.
Thanks.
All righty. Next up, we have got our friends from Skybx. I think we're doing a I run the slides and I do the speaking type. So whoever's in charge of the slides, let's get them up.
So you just have to let Ron put up the slides.
Yep, Ron, you ready? There we go. And then Ron, get them the screen show. Fantastic.
And I'll be presenting.
We got it, Jamie. All right, I'm going to count you down, Jamie and Ron. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today, and welcome to Skybx. We are your ultimate edge to win. We have a product that's going to make everybody more money. Sports betting, poker, and fantasy sports are 3 verticals that are absolutely exploding. The problem is these massive communities are underserved. We're talking about 75 million people just in the United States alone. And what's more, a shockingly high percentage of these people are actually losing money. So if you've watched any sports over the last 2 years, it's pretty obvious that sports betting is on a meteoric rise. The great news is that there's still so much more room for growth, with 3 of the biggest states primed to come online. Now, online poker and real money gaming are up 300% this year. And fantasy sports is a $25 billion a year business, which is projected to double in the next 4 years. What's amazing is that nobody has taken full advantage of the tremendous overlap in these 3 verticals. These communities are lacking a trusted source and a system that will simplify and enhance their lives. Now, the solution is the Skybx system. We will empower each individual member of our community to become a consistently winning sports bettor, give fantasy players the tools to win, and empower poker players with the most successful tools and strategies. Our mission is clear and direct. We will educate, entertain, and enrich. Now, Skybx has the opportunity to be massive. We will become the epicenter of these verticals, each with huge market caps and targeted crossover demographics. Now, this is where it gets even more exciting. What we've been able to do is put together this extraordinary team of industry leaders. I'll tell you a little about myself first. It's the first time I played the World Series of Poker, I won the largest poker event in history for $12 million. I then took that same analytical approach and applied it to sports betting, created a system that outperformed most of the sharpest bettors in the world. I've also produced hundreds of live celebrity events. My dear friend here of 34 years, my co-founder, Ron Wexler, his highly respected career includes 10 years building out the content division at ESPN, another decade growing the NBC Sports Network from scratch, and then running a streaming network at William Morris Endeavor. Billy Bergefin is an award-winning marketing executive. Michael Caine is an award-winning content and talent executive across news, business, and sports. David Ortiz has overseen tech and development for the EA Sports Madden franchise, Sony, Warner Brothers, and served as the CEO of Ivy Poker. We have an all-star advisory board that bolsters our affiliate, sponsorship, marketing, and events experience. Now, our content strategy is going to follow our mission. We will educate with masterclasses and live interaction with experts. We will entertain with the most trusted talent and influencers, and we will enrich with content, including winning sports betting picks documented in the top 1%. Now, we acquire the sharpest data and analytics that is not available or affordable to the individual sports bettor. The Skybx Drop is our free daily newsletter, which provides value and exclusive content to build community. Skybx is a dynamic, multiple revenue stream business. As you can see, we have many ways to monetize as we grow our community. We have a la carte content, we have VIP membership, we have affiliates, ads and sponsorship, masterclass and instruction, and live events and celebrity tournaments. Now, our LTV to CAC ratio is 10-to-1. The reason we can do this is because our customer acquisition costs will be significantly lower than most startups. Our relationships are special and industry-wide, and we have an efficient marketing plan and a comprehensive social media engagement strategy. So far we've raised a pre-seed round of $500,000. We're now raising a $2 million seed round, and we have a commitment for $250,000 so far in September from a trusted partner. We're going to use these funds to build out the platform, invest in and develop talent, content, and community, and customer acquisition. We are uniquely qualified to launch this business. We're deeply ingrained in these communities. We understand how to serve them as one. Our track records prove that we know how to reach them, retain them, and drive revenue. This is not a business we could have created in our 20s. We love what we do, and we hope that we can welcome you into the Skybx family. We appreciate you taking the time to listen. We look forward to connecting with anyone who's interested afterwards. And I have my co-founder here, Ron Wexler, who'll be happy to answer any of your questions with me.
Fantastic. Good job, Jamie. Good job, Ron. All right, David, you already fired up your hand, so let's hear your question, David.
Yeah, because I'm interested in this space, but I'm not really an expert in it. Somebody is going to win, especially with California and Texas coming on board.
That's right. Yeah.
Question is, what's your valuation? And you're pre-seed, right? You don't have any revenue at this point.
We're pre-revenue. We're not pre-seed, but yeah, we're pre-revenue, and we've our valuation is 15 million.
Okay. And why do you justify 15 million on pre-revenue?
So it's a great question. If I'll give you a quick example on how we talked about the LTV to CAC ratio. So when we talk about 10-to-1, we spend $150,000. We know that we can bring in about let's say 1.5 million eyeballs, but let's say we only do 10% of that. We only get 150,000 people to be aware of what we're doing. We convert 1% of them, 1,500 customers paying us $100 over a year, which is not hard for us to do. That brings us $1.5 million. So
yeah,
if you think about
let me cut you off right now.
Okay.
If I can only get a half a dollar from each Chinese person, I'd be rich. I'm more concerned about the reality today to justify 15 million, not the speculation on where it can go. That's the problem that I have as an angel investor. Just to give you a hint how we think.
Well, it's a longer conversation. We'd love to have.
I'm sorry, that's certainly fair, but I think the idea is that as founders, we have somebody who's in the top 1% of sports bettors and won the biggest poker tournament in poker history. So we have a name, we have my history in terms of building networks and all of our relationships. And we also have a focus on community. That's really important to us. I mean, community is something that we feel can be tapped into in a manner that traditional networks don't necessarily consider. And we understand that in this day and age, especially as we're moving from a Web 2 environment to a Web 3 environment, community, it's first. I mean, just being able to unbundle all these communities that exist on Reddit and being able to target those are the kind of moves that we're going to make right out of the gate to be able to drive people towards our platform.
Why don't we do this? I'll allow you guys to do the evaluation dance offline. Feel free to put your stuff in chat. And Dalton, you have a question, go ahead.
Yes, hello. And I'm actually from Nevada. I grew up in Nevada. So over half my life, I've been around gambling and sports betting. Also a big fantasy football player and champion from last year.
Nice. Well done.
And yeah. Is it pre-product right now, your business?
Yes, it is.
Yep, we're building it right now.
Okay, gotcha. Because my question was around kind of the value prop for your customers, kind of by what percentage do your customers increase their odds of winning? And what happens if they subscribe to all of your features and they continue to lose? And also around like the defensibility of this, is that couldn't other people offer advice and newsletters and tips and tricks? And is a chance of winning 78% versus 82% worse, or is it better depending on?
It's a great question. And part of what we're providing is we're curating, because there's so much information out there and most of it is crap. And so what we're doing is we are not saying that we are the absolute only experts. What we're doing is curating from the best and from the sharpest experts and giving that to one platform so you can get all of your information in one place. It's one trusted source and a curation to save you time, energy, money, and most people just don't know who to trust.
Okay, so it's like you're just aggregating all the information into one place.
Yeah, but we're also presenting it in a unique and entertaining way. I mean, that's part of the value proposition of myself and my team and our history of being able to create content for the best networks in the business.
Fantastic. Thanks, Dalton. Susan, well, welcome. I'm glad you made it. If you can, maybe just before you ask your question of Jamie and Ron, maybe just a quick background for everybody so they know who you are.
Okay, thank you. My name is Susan Akbarpour. I'm the managing partner of Can Do Ventures, an early stage fund in Silicon Valley. We are investing on mainly B2B, but sometimes we do platforms. Basically, blockchain, IoT, AI, SaaS software is our sweet spot, and cloud infrastructure. Our check size is $1 million to $1.5 million, and we're following on. We take a board seat, and all the three general partners and myself are serial entrepreneurs, and we've had multiple exits under our belts. I think that's good enough in terms of introduction. Sorry, I was late into the presentation. I was trying to find the link. Anyway, I didn't hear the full presentation. However, when you're talking about $50 million valuation in the current market situation, and you are pre-product, there are a few elements that I, as an early investor, would like to grab my arms around. First of all, do you have any idea about this platform technical challenges? And second of all, the user acquisition costs. There are thousands, millions of platforms and applications out there, and it's important to have a very detailed plan and a strategy to see how you want to reach out to the users and acquire them as cheap as possible. And when you are coming up with a pre-money valuation or cap of $50 million, then for the next round, what is your strategy and to create enough value to go and to actually go to the next level and create a valuation for the current investors? to make it a material asset for them.
So here's
So
the
I think-
good
I
news.
think-
Here's the good news,
I don't
gentlemen.
want
You
to
have 30
pigeonhole
seconds.
yourself, right?
You
Yeah,
have
Ron,
30
I'll
seconds.
take this. So the first two questions I can answer, and then the third one is a much longer thing. So the first two questions are, we have our cost per customer acquisition is about $1. So it's about 10 to 20 to 100 times lower than everyone else in our space. And we have a tech platform that we have white labeled. So it's very low cost to us and we don't have any issues.
So what?
Okay.
I'm sorry, and I just want to clarify one thing.
10
just
seconds.
In case it wasn't clear, it's 1.5, not 50. It's 15 million. Because we believe we could
Yeah.
do.
I said
We'll be able
1.5.
to, I just wanted to make sure. I wasn't sure that.
So why don't we do this, Jamie, Ron, make sure your contact information is thrown in the chat. I'm sure Susan will love to chat with you more,
Thank you.
but we'd love to have our next presenting company. Jason, are you ready to go?
Yep, I'm ready to go.
All right, Jason, why don't you share the screen? Susan, everybody else, just make sure you're in mute mode. That would be great.
You guys see it?
I can see it. And hold on, Jason, give me 1 second. I'm going to count you down. 3, 2, 1, go.
Awesome. Thank you very much, everyone. We're Zeva Aero, and we're elevating the human race. Now, like many of you, we've experienced the pain points and barriers to traveling in modern life, whether you live in rural areas, need to overcome geography like bodies of water, mountains, roads that are poorly maintained, or you live in the urban setting where you probably have put up with traffic on a daily basis, and just in general, traditional infrastructure that really isn't at the pace of modern life. Well, we want to fix that. And we believe that the future of this, the future of transportation, is eVTOL, or electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles. And we've designed a fast, compact, affordable, and highly efficient eVTOL. You see a picture of it here, the Zeva Zero, that uses a blended wing body to be up to 40% more efficient than a lot of our competition. And it's entirely electric. Now, why Zeva? Why now? Well, we can fly at the speeds of 160 miles an hour, above traffic, above noise. And that means that we're pretty much a highly targeted demographic for EMS and law enforcement, where faster response times are going to mean they're able to get to the scene faster and save lives. There's also a lot of interest from the DoD. Vehicles like this open up an entirely new mobility class to them that they previously haven't had access to. And special forces especially is very interested in a vehicle like this because of its compact nature. There's also going to be the ability for private pilots, as the Z2, which I'll show you in a minute, is going to be classified, an Argon will be classified as experimental aircraft. Now, we've been doing this for 4 years, and we've developed almost all the proprietary technology in-house, from our flight control systems to our composite structures. We all have in-house experts doing this. And we have an omnibus patent pending that covers many of these different aspects of our vehicle. And all of that has led to the picture you see in the middle. That's the Zeva Zero, our full-scale flying prototype, flying earlier this year in January. Now, since January, we've been building out more of a production scale model called the Z2, as well as the Argon, which takes all of the electrified propulsion technology and is applying that to a conventional airframe. Now, it seems like science fiction, and that's what we get a lot, but this market is actually here and it's now. Anderson Cooper did a great 60 minutes expose on the entire eVTOL industry a few months ago. We have Morgan Stanley and other entities estimating this could be as big as $9 trillion by the time 2050 rolls around, and could be as high as 25 to 30 billion by the time 2030 is here. And Zeva Aero, we have a flying full-scale prototype now, putting us at the head of the pack. It's only 9 or 10 companies in the world that are where we are right now, and we're keeping up with them. Now, we got here because of our amazing team. Stephen Tibbetts is our CEO. He's a serial entrepreneur with multiple successful exits. Gurbir Singh has 32 patents under his belt during his time at Intel, and he's our CTO. Don McLean is a professor of computer architecture. And then we have Fred Bills, who has 10 plus years of patent experience. And these guys are just the tip of the spear. We have 25 dedicated professionals who are helping make this a reality. Apologies. Now, we're looking to hopefully start production next year in 2023. We're going to be selling our vehicles for $250,000 with 100,000 COGS. And we're looking to have that COGS drop pretty rapidly as economies of scale take place. There's also potentially a secondary market where we're going to be selling a lot of the tech that we've developed in-house to other companies as they try to develop their own systems. Now, we've done this in 4 years with only $714,000 raised. And we've been able to luckily get a couple different government grants like JCOTY, but we've been bootstrapping the entire time. That's why we're looking to raise a Series A, $15 million at a $60 million valuation so we can hyper accelerate the growth that we've already gotten to. We're going to use that to complete our flight testing, ramp up production, and also excessively expand our sales and marketing teams. I'd also like to mention we recently completed a due diligence with the Kurozu Forum Northwest, which is available upon request.
30 seconds.
So thank you very much. We're Zeva Aero, and we're elevating the human race. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jason. All right, could you unshare your screen? And Susan, you got a question? Go ahead.
You're muted, Susan.
How do you go around air control regulations?
Right now, that's probably one of the biggest issues in the entire industry. It's a constant back and forth with the FAA, not just with us, but a lot of the players in the space. The FAA is making big strides and hoping to have something in the neighborhood of a consolidated system in the 2026, 2027 timeframe. But again, it is a slower process. One of the ways we're getting around a lot of that is incorporating AI into these vehicles. So they're going to be fully autonomous. Like I said, we're hoping to have that ability in the 2026, 2027 time space as well, just as a general feature, like with EVs today, what they're going for, but it's going to be a back and forth.
Sell it to Air Force, probably, not anyone else, like not B2C.
Well, we will be getting there. I mean, there's a lot of composites in the drone space where people are starting to use drones for non-personal transportation, goods and services. So there are a lot of comparables out there. We're one of the few that are actually doing it.
Your sales starts when? What is this? Your sales projections?
Sorry, could you repeat that? I didn't quite hear it.
Do you have any sales projections or any opportunity for selling these units?
Well, we have a lot of interest. We've been talking with a lot of different EMS groups around the country, law enforcement, DoD especially. We have a couple of different DoD grants in the pipeline right now that we're looking to be awarded. So there is a lot of general interest. The biggest hesitation is just things like the FAA, which is why we see entities like the military, DoD, being able to, sideline those because they use them in places where the FAA really doesn't have control. But the consumer space is where we eventually see ourselves.
Anyone else have a question for Jason?
I would like to add a little bit to that discussion with the FAA. So one of the ways we can start selling these vehicles immediately. This is Steve Tibbetts, CEO of Zeva Aero. We can sell the vehicles immediately by classifying them as an experimental aircraft. So there is no barrier to volume production in the order of 500 units a year as experimental aircraft. It just requires us to sell kits and have the customer complete the build on them.
So Asher, okay, you got a question?
Yeah, so in this area, there's so much going on. My question that I have for you, and I ask how you're dealing with this, is the intellectual property issues, because there's so much going on, and who created what when, and I know you say you have your own intellectual property, but is it conflicting with others' intellectual property? So are you licensing into intellectual property from other companies? So how is that working in the space?
Steve, do you want to take this one?
We have, I actually wrote a grant proposal to NASA back in 2005. So I'm one of the earliest prognosticators of eVTOL technology and outlined a number of configurations and technologies that are being deployed today. So far that, nobody has done any saber rattling. We feel like, it is a little bit, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors out there in the industry right now. There are a lot of really cool looking renderings of vehicle that will never come to fruition. And so, we pride ourselves on the fact that we're flying a full-scale prototype. But nobody's attacked us so far from an intellectual property point of view.
Okay.
I think that our system is novel enough that they don't have, there's nothing out there that we're violating.
So we have time for one more quick question, if we're ready. All righty. Oh, I thought, did I see a hand? I wasn't sure I saw a hand. Okay. All righty. Next up, Julie, you had a question. Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, I do. So Steve, I know I'm an advisor, fully disclosed here, but have you considered an unmanned cargo deliver goods, rural situations to deliver pharmaceutical supplies and medical supplies, et cetera?
Well, absolutely. If we can haul a person around, we can certainly haul goods around instead. And we've got a system already in place that can fly autonomously from point A to point B. And the Department of the Navy has an RFP out for that exact thing. They want to be able to send light cargo, 200 to 500 pounds, ship to shore or ship to ship. So there's no barrier for us to deploy in the cargo space.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephen. All right. Demetrius, are you ready to go?
As ready as I can be. So
all righty. So put your presentation on screen share. Slideshow mode would be great.
Got you.
All right, I'm going to count you down. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1, go.
Good afternoon / evening. My name is Demitrius Curry. I'm the CEO and founder of College Cash. We are a preemptive debt reduction solution that pretty much uses everyday behavior to reduce student loan debt. I want you to do me a favor and meet John. He's getting ready to graduate college with a decent job and do all the things that an adult does. Get a car, get a couple of credit cards, get his dream partner, settle down, and of course, get that house. This is John 2 years later. Why? Because he experienced and learned that Americans with student loan debt, they have difficulties getting a car, getting a house. Some of them can't open a credit card, but more importantly, 49% of them delay getting engaged or married because of the student loan debt. Now, every solution John found to help with his student loan repayment, it was all based on purchase-based roundup model, which really doesn't help if you don't have extra money to spend. Some examples are these companies right here. That's where we come in at College Cash. We use everyday behavior to reduce student loan debt in 2 main ways: engaging with brands through user-generated content campaigns, which we just call posting pictures, and everyday purchases, which we call living life. Now, how we're different, we're going to start there. We start at the high school level, allowing preemptive reduction of student loan debt, which gives us an 8-year head start on indirect competitors in the market. Plus, the funds earned can be used toward any debt class, including home loan, down payments, car loans, or even future retirement. How we make money, because I know everybody wants to know that. For UGC brands, it's really simple: tiered yearly subscription fee from brands. The interesting thing about that is it's completely tax deductible because we're considered an advertising platform in the IRS, which means it's a zero-sum spend for the brands that work with us. Our banking product, we have a tiered initial setup fee. We actually are paid, I don't want to say a bonus or bounty per customer acquisition fee from the collegiate market, and we make a percentage of the credit card purchase interchange fee for those same users. Our current annual revenue is around 50K. We're on track to hit 900K by the end of this year. Our current partners include Experian, Freddie Mac, and our actual pipeline is Visa, a couple of these other companies such as Change, you might have seen them earlier, Chime, Chase, and World Business Chicago, which is bringing us the Bears, the Bulls, the Cubs, and Chicago Fire. Our immediate market is twofold. We're looking at the 21 million US college students, 15 million US high school students. Our user acquisition model is different. We already have a college ambassador program that's already built in the states of Texas and Florida, and we actually have partner co-marketing agreements with our brands and Experian and Freddie Mac and the banks. Our team, we actually have a pretty great team. I know I'm biased, but comes from illustrious backgrounds, organizations, including ADP, the United States Marine Corps, of which I am a veteran, Morgan Stanley, and PNC. We're also alumni of the Tampa Bay Wave program, Village Capital's FinTech program, and Startups Growth Lab. We are currently raising $1 million on a $5 million post money for our seed round. We did not do a pre-seed, we bootstrapped until then. We have actually banked and raised $420,000 thus far from VCs and angels. We do expect to close our round mid to late August this month. And our current investors include Impact Ventures, Overlook Ventures, Pride Fund, Gangels, and honestly, some really fantastic individual angels. This is going to get us to 4 million plus in annual revenue in 2023 with a net margin of 58% and a net income of around 3 million. These funds that we're raising are going to be used to increase our digital and campus marketing, onboard a few key hires, and continue to scale and innovate our technology. Now, for the purpose of some other questions, I did include an appendix at the end of this presentation, which I'm sure Scott has given to you. I'm open for any questions, and thank you for your time.
All righty. Thank you, Demetrius. If you could, and Chair, thank you. If we have questions for Demetrius, you can use your raise hand function. I might just start volunteering. All right, Susan. That's all right. That's the Susan and Asher show. Susan, you'll go first, and then Asher.
Hey, thanks for your presentation. How many users you have right now, and what's the GMV of your platform currently, and your actuals by now for 2020? Because you said that you are projecting $1 million revenue. How much of it is already booked?
Currently, we actually have already been paid roughly around 50,000. We do have a white label agreement for another 100K from a credit repair service. And as far as users, every quarter and during our betas, because our campaigns are run on quarter, we actually kind of get new users. We have roughly a 13% attrition rate quarter to quarter. We have currently now 1,200 users on our platform, which is just from the beginning of July with no marketing, no advertising, just word of mouth, reading articles. But the reason we did this is our corporate partners, such as Experian, Freddie Mac, and our banking partners are actually doing a major push this month for user acquisition in the back to school timeframe for colleges. We didn't want to do a huge spend when we knew our partners could help us with that.
So this is not a B2C application. You're positioned as a B2B. You mentioned white labeling or SaaS model.
Correct. And that is on the brands and the user generated content. We decided it was easier to actually go and partner and white label this or license it to media agencies who already have the brands as partners, rather than spend the money and time trying to go to 100 different brands. Being a small organization, we had to think smarter, not harder, and kind of come up with unique ways to be able to scale and grow.
So you
yes.
haven't done any POC with these current candidate customers?
Yes, actually we have. We started running beta campaigns and POCs last year. And then we actually got the POCs from the financial product, from the actual banking partners we have, including some of our advisors who come from core banking companies. And so, yeah, we've run some POCs already on that. And we actually
free POCs. Thank you.
Good, Asher.
Hi, Demetrius. Great presentation, and thank you very much for your service.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
On your presentation, my two questions. One is, how does the potential, and I say potential because we don't know yet, obviously, administration's college forgiveness / partial forgiveness, whatever you want to call it, college loan program, how does that potentially impact your business, whether it's 10,000, 50,000, or all? Obviously all it totally impacts, but so how does that change your numbers? My second question is on the attrition rate. Have you been doing anything to figure out why the attrition rate is above 10%? Because above 10%, you begin to wonder why why is the attrition rate so high? Actually, to me, really above 5%, but certainly above 10%.
Yes, and I'll take your questions in order, and thank you for those questions. Starting, the concept of student loan forgiveness is kind of a touchy thing. However, what we found out is overall, there can't be complete student loan forgiveness, but just for different financial reasons. We've already talked and we work with the FSA administration in DC. And in addition to that, just from my financial background, understanding how student loan debt is included in CDOs, a lot of huge financial institutions, then going from there to the issue of For example, when the current administration forgave the $1 billion of student loan debt, that was pretty much and primarily for the students who had student loan debt from the for-profit colleges, and they were pretty much going to get that forgiven anyway. If you go any further into that, that's when you risk causing division among the economic bases, the year you graduated, who gets forgiven. We don't expect to see that done anytime soon. However, the good part about our platform is since these funds can be used for other debt classes as well, in a catastrophic scenario for us, I guess you could say, if all student loan debt was forgiven, these funds can still be used for down payments on home. That's why we've partnered with Freddie Mac, Equitable Housing Division, single family and multifamily, and it can also be used for future retirement or even as a nest egg. The most important thing is we leverage everyday behavior. Now, for the second question, the attrition rate, we have developed some ways to actually reduce that, including secondary awards, and we added some Web3 aspects to our platform that actually dropped it from where it was at roughly around 21% down to the 13% in 1 quarter. So we are continuously tweaking and moving that down, moving that needle down.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Question from Grant. Go ahead, Grant.
I'm interested in the 420K that was raised. You had a number of angel groups listed. Love to hear what they were excited about, and also maybe why there were multiple angel groups in a relatively small round. Did they all come in together, or was that individual outreach you'd done and they just wrote smaller checks?
That's a great question, and I appreciate it. So the Angels is, of course, an angel syndicate, and Pride Fund, those came as a result of me graduating Growth Lab and start out as an LGBTQ+ founder. We came out of that program with those two connections. Impact Ventures invested because of our social impact ability to be able to help close the wealth gap, increase home ownership, and our mission. Overlook Ventures invested in us, one, because they were excited about the new model and the earlier engagement, the social impact, plus they are also underserved founder focused. So I've been really lucky and blessed to be in front of the right people. Our actual angels, those are the individuals that I look at and I weigh more heavily. I hate to say it like that because that's their own money they're playing with. It's a mixture of my backstory, the things I've gone through, the passion for what I have, the group of people I've built around me, our understanding of both the problem and the solution, and without tooting my own horn, the fact that I'll run through walls to make this happen, and I've already proven it many times over. So that's what got them excited and got them on board. At this stage, we're really betting on the founder and an idea. So
great. Thanks, Demetrius. So we're going to have our next group come on in just a couple of moments. But before we do that, if any of our investor panelists, you've heard, the first 6 presentations, I'd love to hear if you have any general feedback or general recommendations from our first group of presenters. Anybody? So we should assume they all did fabulous and checks are forthcoming. I see the uncomfortable smiles. All right, Asher, let's hear it. You're muted, Asher. Go ahead.
I know. The disability makes it a little always difficult sometimes to.
No problem. Understood.
To maneuver the mouse. So pardon me for that. Presentations all around I thought were very good. Particularly though, what I always find the more interesting thing is the responses to questions. And what I found here, was that I was very much impressed by the way that the unflappable manner in which Demitrius was able to respond to the questions that were given to him, which were not easy questions. Just very even keeled and even toned and undemonstrative. Kept his cool entirely, and had the answers. Just not easy answers, by the way. I just thought that it was somebody, pardon the military reference, I guess, but someone who I would, certainly love to be, having lead me going into battle. So that's what you love, you love to see in an entrepreneur. So in particular, I just like to say that I thought that
Thanks,
was
Asher. Appreciate that. Go ahead, Grant.
Well, just as sort of a teachable moment, piggybacking on what Asher said there, Demitrius, as Asher said, ended really well with great questions there, and started out great with, sort of a vision story that got the idea in there. In between was a little bit of reading the slides too much. The slides were good, so it was good content, but I was actually thinking, oh, maybe got the story, the sort of spicy thing, but then got a little boring, like not boring, but wasn't as inspirational as an entrepreneur. But then the questions sort of came back the other way, exactly as Asher was saying, really sharp. So I just encourage a little more of that same spontaneity in that middle section as well, to just tie it all together well.
Thanks, Grant. So Fertile, any feedback from any of the other companies that presented, or general feedback?
Yeah, well, thank you. I think generally speaking, everybody was quite strong. I don't know if this was done on intention or not, but I think quite a few presentations were actually putting it out up front, how much they were raising for what valuation, which I actually found quite helpful, because now you kind of watch the rest of the presentation with some more context into what KPIs you should be looking for. So, yeah, great job.
That was actually a tip from a previous event, so we did take note of that. So thank you. Jolene, go ahead.
Yeah, I really liked all the presentations. I will say that it is really important for people to listen to the questions. So on a couple of occasions when they were being asked questions from the investors, they responded with an answer that clearly showed they weren't listening to the question. So I think coachability is grossly underrated, but we all know how important it is to be coachable when we're investing in a company.
That's good feedback. And for anybody who has a teenager, you've probably seen that in real life. So,
Oh yeah, raised two of them.
Yep, exactly. All righty. Well, thanks for that feedback. We'll share some more feedback after we go through our next group. And starting up is our next presenter is Game Jam. Evan, are you ready?
Yeah, Scott, I just got to share my screen.
Okay.
Everybody see that okay?
I don't see it yet, Evan. At least I don't. There we go. All righty. Okay. You guys, gentlemen, ready? I'm going to count you down. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Evan Shubin. I'm investor number 1 and COO at Game Jam. My wife, Michelle, and I founded our first company 20 years ago. We've launched 4 companies in total, and I've been directly involved in 20 startups as a founder, investor, senior executive, or some combination of all 3. We came to Game Jam first as happy customers. We have 2 teenage boys who are avid gamers, and we got to know founder and CEO Josh Hafkin and understand his vision for esports. And just about 2 years ago, we became cash investors and members of the senior management team. Josh is a scholarship swimmer from University of North Carolina. He went deep in the Olympic trials in 2008 and 2012, and he has a master's from Georgetown in sports management. He launched and ran Geico's esports activation, and he ran multiple global marketing campaigns for Bethesda Softworks. And then in 2018, he launched Game Jam to solve this problem. Gamers don't have the same support and structure that is available for other sports and extracurriculars. There are no established K-12 programs. There is no coaches network, and kids love gaming, but parents are still learning how it can be beneficial. Our solution is a year-round ecosystem of camps, content, and competitions. Our camps bring people together, our content keeps them engaged year-round, and our competitions give gamers a reason to practice. Kids already love us, and parents love us because we take a healthy and community-based approach to gaming, like a Taekwondo dojo or an AAU basketball team. and we focus on the everyday gamer, which is the largest demographic and generally ignored by our competition. We have 3 integrated revenue streams that feed off each other by offering year-round online and in-person esports training, education, and competitions. Our first-to-market mobile app is poised for exponential growth worldwide. The MVP is built, and we've received rave reviews from our beta testers. The app offers daily practices, just like a fitness app, so gamers can play with a purpose. Summer camps are our front porch because they fill the burning need that parents have, and we've proven that appetite in the DC area with 5 years of camps under our belt. Leagues and tournaments are already a solid revenue stream for us, with $150K in 2021. We've put together a great team. We have experience in gaming and youth development, we have experience in business and startups, and we have experience in scaling and exit. Our team has worked on 200 plus startups, 100 plus different products, and we've had 20 successful exits.
Can't hear your audio, Evan.
We are offering preferred equity at a $4 million pre-money valuation, $5 million post-money. And since last September, we've raised $450,000 and another $100K in recent verbal commitments. In 2021, we generated $200,000 in revenue. In 2022, we are focusing on growing our business in the DC metro area and launching our mobile app with $400K in projected revenue from camps, tournaments, and leagues. Then we plan to aggressively grow subscription and sponsorship revenue from the app and expand into at least 2 new cities each year after that. To that end, we just announced a partnership with Space Station Gaming to produce the first ever Utah Esports Summit, a live 2-day event in Salt Lake City in November. In 2024, we are projecting $3.3 million in annual revenue and $1 million in profit, and it just gets bigger from there. In closing, we have a huge opportunity ahead of us, and we have the knowledge and experience to capitalize on. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thanks, Evan. If you could unshare your screen, that would be great. If we have questions for Evan, you could use the raise hand function. Let's see. And Evan, there we go. Questions. And Evan, while you're doing that, make sure you put your information in the chat if you haven't already. All right, we will start with Grant. Go ahead, Grant.
Well, I'm definitely interested to hear more on that transition from jumping in and becoming executives yourselves. What got you that inspired to dig in that deeply?
Sure, I'll try to tell that story quickly. My older son, as a high school senior, was ranked top 1% in League of Legends nationwide, not good enough to ever get paid professionally. I thought it was all a waste of time until Ohio State came knocking with a 50% academic scholarship, not to play League of Legends at Ohio State, but because they viewed it as a gold star on his application. That really opened my eyes to the opportunity here. More than 500 colleges and universities have cash scholarships for students to play or participate in esports. And then as we got the boys involved in Game Gym with afternoon programs and summer camps, and we saw Josh's vision to really treat this as a very serious extracurricular, like a martial arts dojo, like an AAU basketball team, like a soccer team, or a debate club, or a competitive orchestra, and that there was no structure and support for that, and that there's a need for that, and that the path is there for kids to get college scholarships, to get jobs after college because of their love of esports. I just saw the size of the market, having launched companies before, having invested in companies before, people, size of the market, and the secret sauce, and I thought it was all there. And that's what prompted us to write a check and get involved in Game Jam.
Thanks, Fred. Julian, hold on 1 second. I'd like to encourage some of our other folks, Justin, Michael, Pablo, Chase, John Grant, Dalton. Let's get some other questions from some of our other investor panelists. Let's, this is like the teacher calling on the people who are sitting in the back of the room, so to speak. So ask a question. Let's go. All right, then. While I'm waiting for you guys to get your coffee or whatever you're doing, we'll take Julie. You still had a question?
I do, Evan. Congratulations on your traction. I've seen your presentation before, so I know esports is huge at Boise State when I was coaching students there. Congratulations on the Salt Lake City championship. So, have you looked at getting funding from foundations that support student-run endeavors like Micron and those types of organizations, as well as non-dilutive funding?
We haven't dug into that yet, Jolene, but I'm open to that. I would love to hear more and get some suggestions. It's not an area of expertise that I have, but if you think there are opportunities there, absolutely, we'll chase them down.
Okay, perfect.
Thanks, Jolene. All right, we're going to give one more question for Evan. Oh, we got another hand raised. Justin, you fell to peer pressure. Let's hear your question.
Thanks for the presentation, Evan. You mentioned that over the next year, you want to expand to 2 more cities and then 2 cities the year after that. What's your expansion and go-to-market strategy like to enter these new marketplaces?
So Salt Lake City and Space Station is a perfect example. They're just a great partner. We sat down with them after the last VC Fast pitch that was live, and we realized that we were aligned philosophically. Everything that we want to do, that we have done in the DC market, over time, they want to bring those programs to Salt Lake City. So first off, we need a great partner. And we've been exploring that in Atlanta, in Philadelphia. We certainly see advantages to going up and down the East Coast, starting in the center in Washington, D.C., where we've built the business for the past 5 years. So those are the 2 things, I think: geography in terms of the East Coast, and then also a key partnerships where we're philosophically aligned and where we can grow and support the metro area, that next metro area that we're looking into. But I can certainly list through with you what we've, offline. We can talk about exactly what our expansion targets are.
Right. And Justin, just to jump in here, just to add, I'm a part of the Game Jam crew as well. Evan talked about me a little bit earlier, but one of the things that makes us unique in this space is we have this online, offline integrated ecosystem. So we'll start targeting our mobile app and our digital camps and private lessons in these metro areas before we even get there. So before we even step a foot into our next camp program, these metro areas are going to know exactly who we are and what we do.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh, Evan.
Thanks, Justin. Demetrius, I'm going to ask you to ask your question offline, and I'll be happy to do an intro for you in that regard. We just want to make sure we get everyone adequate time. So next up, we have Joe from Pod and Addis Lab. Joe, are you there? You can unmute yourself. Get your screen ready.
I'm here, Scott.
All righty. Want to put that in the slideshow mode? Would that be easier for you?
There you go.
All righty. Well, Joe, you've been able to see everybody else. So I'm going to count you down. 3, 2, 1. You're off to the races. 3.
All right.
3, 2, 1, go.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks. I'm Joe Webber. I'm the CEO and founder of Pod, and we're here today to talk to you a bit about Atlas Jobs. So US companies, it's not just US companies, but I think if you look at the United States, and despite my accent, I am a US citizen. I've been here for many years. When you look at the US, with the land of technology, Apple, Amazon, Google, these technology giants have all come from America and thrived in America. And yet we have a huge problem on our hands in terms of STEM talent: science, technology, engineering, and math. And part of it is because a company like Google will take a vacuum cleaner to the engineering department at a university, and there's not too many engineering candidates left for other companies. It's a huge problem. This market is estimated at around a $240 billion market problem, $1 billion a year spend, and it's just getting worse. The need for challenges with this STEM talent are particularly acute. I don't know how many of you guys have seen this over the years, cybersecurity, right? There's zero unemployment in cybersecurity. We just cannot find enough qualified people for the jobs. So it's a very big pain area. There's some other statistics down there. It's a key focus of the current administration as well. There's a new, you're going to hear about it. I think it's getting launched in late August or early September, a key initiative around STEM and STEM jobs and STEM careers. So I'd like to introduce Atlas to you, and also known as Atlas Jobs. And this is a technology platform that we developed in conjunction with many of America's leading corporations. And when you think of leading corporations in the States that use technology, it's embedded into most of the companies. Walmart is America's largest employer, or second largest if you include the Department of Defense, who has 3 million employees. So with Walmart, with their 2.3 million employees, some of you will have noticed yesterday they announced some corporate job layoffs and some slowing on the hiring, not on the STEM front. You know, this is a challenge. Walmart is running one of the biggest logistics operations on the planet. So we developed a technology platform called Atlas Jobs, and we released it in about, I think it was April of this year. One of the investors, I can't remember your name, but you're asking about some statistics. We've had 500,250 job views since June. There's currently 25,000 live jobs on the platform. So to give you a bit of an idea here, this was released in, as I say, in April. We are currently looking for a 2.5 million second seed round, and we're looking at a valuation of 27.5 million. We are post-product, post-revenue. We have, at the end of this year, I think we'll be on about 2 million in ARR, of which 500,000 of ARR will be directly attached to this platform, this Atlas Jobs platform that you're looking at. We have a participating preferred. Excuse me. We have taken. Just stop that for a moment. We have a participating preferred, and we are projecting 5 million in revenue, somewhat conservatively, I think, in 2023. The 2 million in revenue this year with the 500,000 in Atlas Jobs, we're projecting that conservatively as well. That's pretty much if nothing else happens this year, and we have a couple of million of other opportunities. This is how we make money. It's a SaaS model. Our initial customers are large companies, and we're focusing in on really bringing these companies on. But we also, the technology platform is just starting to be sold to these small to mid-sized companies. Our team, we have a very experienced team, a very big network of clients, and we have people who've been working with these large corporations over the last decade in talent acquisition. And I think, you know, this access to this network, this need, big pain point for most companies, and this experienced team is why we will be successful. As I said, what we were seeking, a key goal for me here is to really drive to 1 million in ARR on Atlas Jobs as fast as we can, hopefully in early 2023. And I think, Scott, you're telling me 16 seconds to go. We are working with some of the largest companies. We're also working with the federal government. We have some non-dilutive funding coming through from grants, because this is such a painful issue in the US. And we have an AI capability. So thank you. I think I hit my buzzer, Scott, so I'm thinking I must have hit yours as well.
Fantastic. Awesome. Great. If you can unshare your screen, and we'll have some questions for Joe. Go ahead, Susan.
Thanks for your presentation, Joe. You mentioned something about $2 million ARR, which $500,000 of it is coming from your platform. I didn't understand the logic behind that type of calculation.
Sure, and I found it impossible to really explain everything in 5 minutes, so I apologize. My company, we have a services layer, and that layer will give, we're going to do probably 1.55 million in revenue on that line this year. The Atlas product was released in April. Currently, we're at about 380,000 of ARR. And conservatively, I think we'll be around 500,000 of ARR on that Atlas. The Atlas jobs platform is the one we see as the growth platform. That's the focus. So hopefully that makes sense. I've got two sources of revenue in the company.
Right. And okay, now I understand that model. I guess you're gonna space out the service at some point of time and focus on the platform.
They kind of work hand in hand, you know.
So you have to give that service to your customers. So basically, you created this technology to automate your own back office, and then you realize that you can license it to others as well.
Slightly. It was, we could see all of our customers, you know, our customers are like Walmart, Micron, these are all our customers, big corporations struggling with these talent needs. And we found we could serve them, help them find the talent easier, but we needed a technology platform. That's my background, technology. So that's how we came into this. So yeah, we're raising 2.5 million. I didn't mention we've got about 1.8, 1.9 committed. We are hoping to close the round in August. So, you know, if somebody is interested in this space, we'd love to talk to you. I've got a fabulous group of investors. One of them is my original investor from my first company. So we would obviously love to talk to anyone who's interested in working with us. Susan, thanks for your question.
Fantastic. Go ahead, Michael.
Sure. Thanks again, Joe, for the presentation and thoughtful fielding of everyone's questions. My question is, as you project forward over the next, say, 2 to 3 years, you have a current role in like the candidate journey that you sort of plug in. It's off the website. You plug into the company side and allow them to kind of manage their candidates in one platform. But as you extend the platform to own different parts of the candidate journey, what sections of that journey are more important? Like, do you want to go into the offer section of the journey, or even before that? And then secondly, as you extend the platform into other parts of the candidate journey here, do you run into large, like, other companies that concern you? Because it seems like you have a helpful niche at this point.
Yeah, no, thanks. I think we do. I think we've got an interesting niche, though. I have to say some of our customers early on have said, we're using it for more than just STEM. We're using it for all our jobs. So, you know, I can see people have extended it. It's a great question. Right now, we're really looking at our AI capability. We've got a little AI engine in, which can help determine, okay, you applied for this job. And a big thing is discoverability. Up to 75% of jobs are just passed through networks. And that's really bad for DEI. We tend to get these networks that are very much the same. So really exposing these opportunities is huge. So with our engine, we can help candidates say, all right, you know, these are some other opportunities. We did some work with NASA. Most people think NASA jobs are astronauts. There's not. There's a ton of jobs in there. So a big part we see is using the AI engine right now to increase the discoverability of opportunities, not just jobs, internships, apprenticeships, scholarships, even mentorships. We have the US government, State Department, working with us on putting mentorships out.
Great, thank you. One last question for Joe before we get going. All righty, great, Joe. All right, Jolene, I'll hit you. Go ahead.
Okay, so I've got a real big hot tip for you. I work in the Seattle area. We've got an enormous problem with workforce development and placement. Love to chat with you offline due to our incredible rise in housing prices.
Yep.
Awesome.
That'd be fabulous. Scott, can you connect us?
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Moshe, go ahead. Got a question for Joe?
Hi, great pitch. I love the space.
Thank you.
So I didn't hear anything about competition. If you can tell me a little bit like competition, you moat, why can anyone else in this space do the same thing?
I think because it's a great question. These relationships, these corporations, long relationships. it gives us a bit of a barrier to entry. Like I don't think I'd be brave enough to enter this without having those relationships. Help us with the product, and they are early adopters. You know,
I hear a reflection.
Hey, Joe, get a little background. Can we have everyone else except Joe? Thank you. All right. All right, Joe, why don't you give us a shot?
I think we still have the
All right, well, unfortunately, I can't do anything about that. So Joe, make sure your contact information is in chat, and I'm sure Moshe and Susan, all them get in contact with you. All righty.
All right.
All right, next up, we have Preet from SubX Live. Preet, are you ready to go?
I think so. You guys see?
We got that, okay. Are you in presentation mode? Are you good where you are right now?
I think so, yep.
All right, I'm gonna count you down. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi, everybody. My name is Harpreet Marwaha. I am the co-founder and CEO of SubX, a live shopping and gaming platform. Live streaming is booming. Over 500 billion hours watched and $650 billion will be spent on live streams. And it's because it's more engaging, you get instant feedback, and it's more authentic. Even with all this growth, the live streaming experience is still very nascent. It lacks interactivity beyond chat, has limited tools to monetize, and most of the companies don't provide transparent metrics. Several platforms are restricted, and it makes it more expensive and harder to create compelling content. In addition to these challenges, brands and creators need better tools to create live content and manage their live audiences for engagement, retention, and commerce. They need to be able to integrate their live data and metrics with marketing tools. And finally, they need to be able to distribute these experiences where their audiences are, which includes their own websites and apps. Introducing SubX. SubX helps brands and creators engage and monetize their live audiences with instant templates that are commerce and conversion optimized. We use real-time data to help build audience connection, and we enable brands to multicast streams to third parties, websites, and apps. With instant no-code templates, we make it easy and cost-effective to launch a game show, live shopping experience, talk show, host an esports tournament, while using gamification, trivia, points, leaderboards, chat, and more. Plus, brands and creators can easily set up a shop or integrate their Shopify store to sell physical and virtual goods, tickets, NFTs, and more. While we support traditional e-commerce and auction, you can also take bets, set rates for services, charge a subscription, and even earn crypto or NFT rewards. We are unique in that we're an open platform, so we share all the data we collect back with the brands and creators so they have a better understanding of their audiences and can continue to refine their programming. With SubX, we believe we're opening an additional revenue stream for brands and creators, and our tools will help them directly engage and convert their live fans. We've been utilized by a variety of brands and creators already, including Cash App and 100 Thieves. We have done over 300,000 in revenue, and our experiences have reached over 1 million viewers through a variety of different branded events. We have a great team of builders, gamers, and creators with a ton of experience scaling web and mobile apps, selling to brands, as well as creating and hosting some of the world's best interactive and engaging content, both in front of the camera and behind. To date, we've raised $810,000 from a great group of investors and advisors, including Long Journey VC, Alliance DAO, Cyan Bannister, and more. And we're looking to raise an additional 1.2 million to help us hire more engineering talent, expand our product offering, which includes more templates to support a variety of streaming formats, including multiple hosts, more viewer and host interactions, shopping experiences, and more. The funds will also be used to help build our native mobile app and integrate more third-party tools and services. And finally, we're going to use the funding to start our broader go-to-market and target additional brand partnerships. We're looking for investors and partners who want to help us scale and grow and connect us to more brands and influencers. If you're interested in learning more or want to use SubX, let me know. I'd love to set up a demo, and I'm here to answer any of your questions.
Great job. All right, unshare your screen. If we can get questions, go ahead, Susan. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna pivot. I haven't heard from
We
Dalton.
can start with someone else, sorry.
Yeah, go
Ignore
ahead,
it.
Dalton. Go ahead, Dalton.
Thanks, appreciate that. And Harpreet, thanks for your time today. One of my questions was, how do you intend to take market share from companies like Instagram and TikTok that are strongly investing in social selling on their platform?
Yeah, I think they're targeting kind of like a different type of influencer. And so for us, like right now, we're focusing largely on like brands and people with like retailers. For example, Amazon has live, like Walmart should have live, Gap should have their live presence. And so we believe that they need to be hosting these kinds of experiences on their own site. And so we're targeting Instagram and these other, TikTok, they're targeting kind of the long tail of influencers. And we might be working with those influencers through the brand. And we'll distribute our content on those places, but we're not necessarily going after the same people.
Great.
We're trying to build tools, B2B tools. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you. Farrell, go ahead.
Thanks for the presentation. Could you touch on the competitive landscape a little, just in terms of competitors, if you have direct or indirect competitors at this point?
Yeah, it's as the previous person was mentioning, there's kind of the traditional players who are embedded in live streaming. They come from like the social side of the equation or the gaming side of the equation, like Twitch, Instagram, Facebook. Those are kind of the traditional live stream players. And then you have a few emerging players like Whatnot, Pop Shop Live. And so those are kind of the new commerce oriented. And so where we are bridging the gap is, one, we're building tools that work across the ecosystem versus closed infrastructures. And then secondly, we're enabling a brand to start with us and distribute our content. And so our stuff right now works with Twitch and with our site and on the retailers' websites as well. And so that's one way that we're differentiating. The second thing is we're sharing our data. And so this is something that, like, when we talk to Twitch users today, like they have no idea who their customers are, who their viewers are, what programming is really working or not. It's a lot of bot traffic. And so we provide all the data we collect back to the brand so they can continue to refine the programming. And that's a big reason why we've worked, with 10 to 15 brands already. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Go ahead, Susan. And then Pablo.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the news that Facebook, as of October 1st, will shut down their live shopping. I was wondering how it impacts your business, and have you studied their reasons, because they are shifting to short form videos. So I'm sure you have heard that news, and you have feedback on it. My second question is on your inventory. For this kind of platforms to work, it's always chicken and egg situation. You need more vendors and more products to be listed to make it more palatable for influencers or creators to join your platform. So how you solve that chicken and egg situation? And if you go through SMBs, the market is fragmented, it has its own challenges. If you go to major retailers, then technical challenges will face. And I've been in this business long enough to know the challenges are really substantial. So can you tell me about your answers to these two questions?
Yeah. If you could be relatively brief so we get to the question. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, we've heard about Facebook. Facebook overall is shifting a lot of their core products to Meta, right? And they're shifting a lot of their social products, the social features to, platforms like Instagram and WhatsApp, and to better compete with the other companies out there. And so while they shut down Live, they didn't shut it down across their entire properties. Live is still one of the fastest growing segments, and like Facebook gaming, that's also Live is like the third biggest network in the US. So they're shutting down live shopping as a feature of that, but they're not shutting down the core audience, which is a gaming audience there. And they're moving the shopping features to the other platforms. So I think that's that. I think the second part of your question is, what are we doing to make it easier for brands to work with us? And so there are a couple of things. One is, we believe that we have the best ways for our audiences to engage with hosts point blank, where we provide better tools for audiences and the communities to engage with each other directly with the host and with the content experience. And so that's why we're winning these deals with these brands, because we're capturing that. And then secondly, we're integrating across a lot of third-party tools. So once the data is received, they can integrate it into their own marketing. And so it is something that we're learning on a case-by-case basis, but I think there's some integrations that make it easier to talk to certain brands, and then some integrations that will just take a little bit longer. But we
How
believe.
many SKUs, sorry for interrupting, how many SKUs do you have currently in your inventory?
Yeah, so we just launched our live shopping features, where we support Shopify integration. So we're hoping that the SKUs can come from Shopify, brands who are already on Shopify. And so we're trying to reduce our need to get the SKUs ourselves, but by enabling other stores and using their SKUs. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah. So right now we are so early that we don't have any of our own SKUs, and we're trying to work with retailers that have SKUs that we can work,
So let's do this. Let's take one more question from Pablo. Asher, I'll have to hold you off for the time being. Go ahead, Pablo.
Yeah, so it seems that your platform has like a lot of different tools, features that your users can use. So what is like the top feature or tool that your users are using right now? Like what is the main reason that they're using it?
Yeah, so there are a couple things. The core reason, because we just launched as of earlier last month, our shopping features, so they haven't had a chance to use all the shopping stuff. Our core feature is a trivia game that allows a brand to easily customize a variety of different trivia games, like a HQ style trivia or traditional points and leaderboard, and do a raffle at the end of the game. And so that's been our core product that that has like millions of people playing the game and kind of viewers and all that kind of stuff. And so the key feature there is that it's a way for an audience to engage and provide data to the brand. So we collect email, we collect phone number, we collect payment information while they play this game. It's opted in. And so that's why brands use us, is that we can entertain hundreds of thousands of people at the same time while their influencer is live and they're doing their marketing and promotion. And we provide that data back.
Great, thank you. All right.
Thank you.
So if you haven't already, make sure you throw your contact and other information in chat. And then obviously we now have Panther Quant. Panther Quant, are you ready?
Hi, Scott. Am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you. Now, if you get your screen share, your presentation, that'd be great.
Okay. Yeah, are you able to see my screen?
Yep, we're good. Okay, I'm going to count you down. 3, 2, 1. All right. 3.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chandni, and I'm here to present our project Panther Quant, the first ever NFT marketplace for trading strategies, which has been integrated with an AI-based layer 2 solution platform that acts as an aggregator across centralized and decentralized exchanges and DeFi protocols. The platform has been designed keeping in mind the plights of the traders in this industry. The major problems that prevail in the crypto space are uninformed decisions by the algo trading platforms, overwhelming market sentiments and data, highly unpredictable and volatile crypto market, no tools for the traders to minimize their drawdowns and minimize their losses, oversaturated NFT space. The answer to all these problems is what we are bringing in the form of Panther Quant. Panther Quant is the first ever AI-powered layer 2 algo trading platform that will analyze the market sentiments in real time to make an informed decision before picking the trades for the traders after the trader has made a totally customized trading strategy. It is the first platform to offer the traders features like hyperparameter optimization, not only on the historical data, but also in the live market. The first NFT marketplace where traders will be able to convert their algo strategies into fractionalized NFTs and lease out on the marketplace. Panther Quant also aggregates leading DeFi protocols and automates yield returns and swaps. It will also automate and execute the DEX arbitrage trade with flash loans from leading lending platforms. The projected revenue for Panther Quant is close to $14.6 million in the first year, assuming an initial user base of 10,000 traders with an average portfolio size of $2,000. Our business model is subscription, that is subscribing to the different tiers on the platform through staking tokens or by holding the Panther Quant Genesis key NFTs. Transactional, that is, we levy 0.05% fees on each transaction that happen on the platform, and a freemium model. We are targeting the global market, which comprises of inexperienced traders as well as experienced traders. Panther Quant is obviously not the first algo trading platform that is prevailing in the industry, but our unique and intrinsic features make us fairly competitive over our indirect competitors. We have a very carefully designed tokenomics where our initial market cap is only $100,000. The PNTQ token, that is the native token of Panther Quant, is a utility token designed to fuel the ecosystem of Panther Quant. We have a very unique team with 37 years of combined relevant experience, with Manav Bajaj as the founder, who's a serial entrepreneur. Myself, Chandni Shah, I'm the co-founder. Bhavya Gulati is the AI programmer. Rajesh Shivi is our blockchain developer. Rishabh Kalra is our business development manager, and Ajay Kumar is our marketing head. We have a very aesthetic list of advisors with Ian Scarf as our blockchain and fintech advisor, Suresh Nakhua as our digital marketing advisor, Jason Kidd as our crypto and blockchain advisor, Mauro Andriotto, who is also the jury member of the EU Commission, Scott Kelly, as you all know, the CEO of Black Dog Venture Partners, Pablo, who's our creative advisor, and Keyur Shah, who's also the ex-vice president of Polygon, as our financial and legal advisor. We have amazing backers from the industry, which includes Wispex Launchpad, Gotpit Foundation, Shisha Finance, Polygon Studios, Black Dog Venture Partners, Alpha Blogs, the Coin Recruit Capital, BitBNS Exchange, Anypad Launchpad, Polygon Launchpad, wherein we have raised $35,000 recently in the seed round, the Launch Hive, European Digital Assets Exchange, and Kaizen Finance. We have successfully completed all our stages until quarter 2022 and reached quarter 3 2022. We are raising funds in our seed round, and we are seeking to raise $400,000 in this round. Thank you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Great, thank you. So if you can unshare your screen, that would be great. And if we have questions, please raise your hand digitally. We have questions. All right, go ahead, Jace.
Yeah, I just had a question around your guys' current traction. Obviously, you're pre-launch and going to be jumping to beta phase Q4, I think it said.
Yes.
Do you guys have any kind of a wait list or any kind of anything that just shows, traction?
Yes, so we have been talking to our community, wherein we have a wait list from our community, plus our partner communities. Plus we have, so Scott, we have been talking to Scott, and Scott has a large amount of network of traders whom we will be bringing to the table. Apart from that, we have been talking to many crypto traders in the space, like Credible Crypto, who will be joining our beta launch. So we have a good amount of traction. On basis of that, we have estimated a user base, an initial user base of 10,000 traders on our platform.
And then as far as in the NFT space, one thing that always makes me weary when looking at marketplaces is I didn't see anything that talked about like preventing any sort of rug pulling within NFTs. Is there anything built into your guys' AI that prevents that or calculates for that?
basically this NFT is a little different from the NFTs that is prevailing in the space. For example, as a trader, if I come on the platform and I have created a strategy which is giving me like very good results, I'm very happy with that, I can convert that strategy into an NFT and it cannot be sold out on the platform. It is a fractionalized NFT that I would be leasing out to multiple users. That NFT will always be owned by me. The NFT, the end user would be able to see what exchange is the NFT trading on, like the strategy is trading on, what returns is it giving, and what pairs is it trading on. And the code will always be owned by me. The code cannot be copied by anyone else. Plus, it will always be executed on the centralized exchanges, on registered centralized exchanges. So the question of rug pulling would not arise over here, as the traders would be very credible, would be having their own communities. We have been already talking to traders who have their own communities. So their credibility is also on stake at this point of time.
Great, we have time for one more question for Panther Quant. Anybody? All righty, I believe she put her information already in chat. All righty, next up, we have Christopher Chong from SST Wireless. Christopher, you ready to go? You're on mute.
Absolutely, sir.
Awesome. All righty, why don't you get your screen shared, okay? And I'm gonna count you down. 1 second. 3, 2, 1, go.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christopher Chong, CEO of SST Wireless. And I'm going to take in a little bit different perspective on what we call industrial IoT and how our company is disrupting a legacy industry that hasn't changed much since the 1980s and what the proposition for you is. So we just want to start off, as we said, we're doing a $2 million raise. We have about $476,000 left on the round. Our lead investor is Momentum Ventures, TechCoastAngels, Swan, and Kurusu Capital, as well as I think David from TechCoast and Joey Rosati was on the call, two of our great investors. So thank you very much for your support. So what is SST Wireless? Well, we started our life working with industrial companies, trying to solve a problem where a wireless industrialized device, a sensor, gateway, and so on, can solve a problem. So we're doing good. We thought we had a good market. And what's happened is that our customers have kind of led us down this path where what we recognize is that there's a global issue where small, medium-sized companies, which makes up about 98% of the industrial market, are not using IoT. So they're not gathering data to make better decisions about how they operate and maintain their machines. So the question we have was, why is that, given that they're probably the benefiting the most? Here's some of the issues. See, that rat's nest of controllers, modules, PLC is what the traditional industry has been using to monitor equipment. It's as complicated as it looks. It's also very capital intensive. You have to go to, say, Rockwell, use their authorized systems integrators, trainers, installers, and the whole ecosystem is built by certified people that could only sell and service these type of technologies. And for small companies, it's out of the picture. And they don't have the people and the type of machines where they can gather enough data to get to the analytics, which is what everyone's after. So we created something called Industrial IoT for Everyone. So we replace all of that into a single sensor like this one that's shown on a municipal water pump. That allows you to flush your toilet and get water out of your faucet, and made it very simple. We turned the model from a CapEx to an OpEx, whether it's our SaaS platform on AWS, or we can provide the sensors and technologies as an equipment as a service on a monthly recurring revenue. And we help them with the data. And this is the key part that I can get into. And this is going to be the takeaway that I would like you to remember about SST Wireless. Yes, we make sensors and products, but what we're really trying to do is create the largest archive of machine condition data with something called trainable events. So we can capture alarms and things that happen based on things that we expect. But what we're doing that's quite different is we're actually capturing the knowledge of the people who are currently working on these machines, who are going to age out within the next decade, maybe even less, and all that knowledge is gone, the machine whisperers, if you want to call them. And we're the only company that's aggregating all of that information and helping it so that other people can use that aggregated data to reduce the time to analytics. Market's huge and it's growing quite exponentially. And we're a relatively small company, so we can't do everything. So what we have done is focus on certain use cases where we have a distinct advantage. So This is our buses that we delivered to the city of Detroit recently, and this is through a company called New Flyer, which makes about, I think, 60 or 70% of all transit buses in North America. And we are the only approved products that they monitor their tires and wheels for the buses, which is a third of the operating cost. Greenhouse gases, $6,000 every time a bus has a flat. So the ROI is right there. A lot of machines are cooled with water and oil mixtures. And this is another example where one of our partners that is delivering our solutions to their customers were able to reduce the amount of water by 66%, which saves them money, but also reduces the environmental impact. And I like that as well. So here's another simple ROI. We keep things from catching on fire and exploding. I don't think there's a lot more in the ROI that I can say. Here's another thing that we've been doing lately is working with port facilities, container ports. The logistics world is under tremendous amount of strain and the volume keeps on going, and we're automating a lot of the menial tasks that people are using to maintain these large cranes and equipment that are used at the port. So there's a gain in terms of cost and savings, but you're also freeing up a lot of time of people so they can assign them to more meaningful tasks than checking heat temperatures and cranes and so forth. And here's the big thing. There are 10,000 municipalities in US and Canada that are struggling. Main Street's gone away and they're struggling a lot, and we want to help them with that. So you can't go from zero to hero. So we have a 3-stage process. OEMs is where we started to get validation and scale. Enterprise customers is helping us with credibility. And now we're after the SME marketplace. Small team and growing. We're coming out of COVID, industry is picking up with us, and we're going to see a lot of traction as we go forward. As I said, we have the products to back it up. We're commercial. We're not a thing that we're trying to get done. We have great customers, a platform that's already built on AWS, and we have some really interesting projects I think that's going to really highlight SST, and some press coverage you can read on. And I thank you very much for your time. And please ask any questions you like.
All right, Christopher, why don't you take your screen off share mode? We have questions for Christopher and SST.
You guys all get it?
All right, we'll do Farrell, go ahead first.
Thank you, great presentation. So 2 questions, one on the IPRM sensors. You guys, I'm assuming, are just packaging off-the-shelf sensors. Is that correct?
Well, the components are, Farrell, absolutely. In the same way that Apple does not make their own chips or screens, right? So, but it's what's inside. So the firmware, the engineering, the mechanical, the material sciences that go into it. So even the concept of taking an industrial sensor, usually you have to hire someone to come, commission it, install it, and program it. We reduced it down to this, a sensor, and basically an NFC app, which anybody has in their pocket, is now being used. So those are the IP. We do have patents as well. And we also have 6 additional patents that are in the process. But I'm holding off because I hate paying lawyers for those things. So as they become more commercially viable, we'll kind of go after those.
And with this, with the setup that you have right now with the package sensors and the software layer on top, what do you think prevents other kind of players to get in to this business, or where they see the opportunity to enter?
Great question. For the large legacy players, so let's say Rockwell, GE, and all those people, their ecosystem doesn't allow them to go after a self-serve market for small, medium-sized companies. The other problem is that you have a lot of sensor companies out there who are packaging what I call off-the-shelf components, and they don't understand the industrial application and use, and that those things don't survive. Your iPhone is a sensor, but you're not going to strap it onto a 500 horsepower motor running at a sawmill, right? It has to be designed for that environment. So it's a very different thing altogether. And that's kind of the reason why we are kind of in our own field, and it's up for us to take the market if we want to.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Thanks. Go ahead, Jolene, question?
Yeah, Christopher, great presentation. I've seen you at Karetsu.
Yes. Hey, Jolene.
Good to see you. So it looks like you have a Internet of Things genome project for industrial use, correct?
A genome project?
Yeah, you're actually aggregating all that relevant information.
We are aggregating the data because we're dealing with the machine condition, not the owner or any of the private things. So when a machine fails, we now have a baseline, right? But that doesn't give us a really accurate picture. But if we collect 100 machines that are similar that have failed at a certain point, we get to a very predictable model that we can build around it. There's a lot of analytics companies talking about it, but what they're missing is the data. especially when it comes to small and medium-sized companies that have no data at all.
So my question is, what's your current valuation and how much are you looking for?
Well, it's still based on the valuation that was created by the Pacific Northwest, Jim Mead and those guys. So it's 5 million pre-money and it's 7 million post. So it's quite a steal at this time.
Excellent.
Thanks, Jolene. Moshe, go ahead.
Yes, hi, thanks. Great presentation. Love the space. Invested in a few similar companies. The question is, the valuation is very low. You're giving away a lot of the company for $2 million to $5 million. I just want to know the margin, the profitability, your burn rate, and what's the potential? Where do you see the company being in 5 years? So I'm going to go back to mute because I think I have a new tablet, so it's making an echo. So I'm just going to listen. Thank you.
Sounds good. So yeah, the valuation is very low. I agree with you, but that was what's established. And given the current economics in the last couple of years, we decided to continue with it instead of trying to change it. We make about 68% on the hardware side, the components. Our SaaS part starts with $49 at this time, because we're not pushing analytics right now. We're pushing monitoring and alarms. And I think in the next 2 to 3 years, we'll most likely have an offer that I would have to put in front of our investors. Right now, we've been getting offers somewhere in the $20 million range, but that is only going to give us about 4 or 5 times, which is not significant enough. So in about 2 to 3 years, validate the model, increase our revenues exponentially, and it most likely will be one of these big legacy players we're disrupting who will buy us because they can go after the small, medium-sized market without cannibalizing their existing ecosystem.
Great, thank you. Okay, Susan, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Susan, you're on mute. I want to say that.
Thank you. Can you tell us about your sales cycle? How does it look like? And what is your own background to make you a fit for running this company?
Well, I don't know if I'm the best fit. When I first started, I made a lot of mistakes because I'm from the digital side of the industry, not the physical hardware products. So there's a lot of learning, but at the same time, I think it gave me some advantage in the way that from a usability point of view, I was always looking at how do we make this simple, not add to the complication. So that's something that engineers don't necessarily quite understand. Now, in terms of the second question, what was it again?
Sales cycle. So you're with the
it varies. So our contract with Goodyear, for example, and they're increasing their order every time, doubling it almost, took about 2 years. We also had customers where, in an industry where we already have a solution, we get purchase orders within 2 weeks because they already know that it's a technology that's been proven and they've heard from other people. So it depends on what we're after. The OEM integration side takes a bit longer, but once you're there, the switching cost is too high. Imagine Goodyear or New Flyer switching out a vendor. It'd be a massive struggle, right? But on an end user, a small mill or manufacturer where they're putting in $15,000 worth of our technology, they could switch if they want to, right? But also the sales cycle is much shorter. On the SME side, it's going to be very much a self-serve. So through e-commerce, through our distribution partners like Wexler, there's other people who are willing to use our technology as a way to get in. We have a small starters kit that for $2,000, someone can get started.
Right.
But the thing is that every one of those kits that go out there,
Christopher, I'm going to cut you off right now, Christopher.
Okay, thanks, guys. Sorry.
That's
I can talk forever. All right.
We have
Thank
one
you, guys.
last presentation that we want to get through, and then we'll have some Q&A. We have a 30-minute hard stop, so I want to make sure we cover everything. Fantastic. All right, Gary from ProTracker, are you ready? You're muted. Unmute yourself. Can you share your screen? Get your screen ready. All right. Are you ready to go, Gary?
I'm ready.
All right, I'm gonna count you down. 3.
All right. Thank you very much.
3, 2,
My name is
1,
Gary
go.
Christensen.
Let's go.
Okay. My name is Gary Christensen. I'm president of ProTracker Archery, and I'm seeking funding of $1.5 million. Bow hunters have a major problem. I'm going to address 3 of those problems today. The first one is unrecovered animals. 50 to 75% of all animals are not recovered. It's unethical, devastating hunters, failed and wasted hunting trips, and money lost. The third problem is lack of momentum. Second problem is lack of momentum. Bow hunters with less pulling strength can't penetrate as deeply and try to add heavier components to their arrows. This results in less accuracy and broken arrow shafts. We end up with frustrated hunters. The third is self-branding. Consumers want to express themselves by personalizing their hunting experiences, especially on social media. We have the solutions. The first solution is a recovery system. This solves the problems of unrecovered animals. It's ethical and efficient. A barbed hook transmitter stays with the animal until it's recovered. It's reusable. We have 5 issued patents for this product. Successful and recovered hunts equals happy bow hunters. The second solution is called the Bad Boys. It's a niche product, but it gives momentum to each shot for men, women, and children, and mobilely limited hunters to equal the playing field. We have 4 issued patents for that product. It's cutting-edge technology. Bow hunters can now shoot with complete confidence. The third is self-branding, expanding our brand for individual personalization with colors, and also introducing the Yeti line for themed packages. The market is ready for us. Hunting season is 365 days a year worldwide. There's a 10% growth. The archery equipment market share is expected to grow by $1.13 billion, excuse me. The demand, just in the United States alone, there's 18 million bow hunters in the USA. There's a demand for our solutions, and they want to integrate their hunts on an app with these features: tracking, bow hunting, metric calculator, a bow hunting forum to discuss and talk, and more. Our market strategy is, first, refresh our brand by introducing the Yeti mascot, establishing a distinct and recognizable brand, triggering the audience's innate love for stories, which all hunters have. Our e-commerce, we already have an online store. We're setting up an Amazon storefront and affiliate marketing. We look to increase our social media presence and involve influencers. Our team consists of Michael Ferguson, CEO, Gary Christensen, myself, President, Tiffany Kelly, Director of Marketing and Sales, and Alicia Benson, Creative Director. We're asking for that $1.5 million, and 50% of it goes to advertising to increase our brand and product exposure, influencer involvement and promotion. The next is 30% for back end and technology development. The recovery system will be all phone apps supported. Inventory, 10%. Supply levels are in stock, and there's no waiting on our China delivery shipping. Our sales force of 10% of that would hire a dynamic team to handle intercompany growth for mass distribution. Our investment is, our founders have invested $1.5 million into the company. We have 9 issued patents for the products worth $15 million, and in-stock product inventory worth $2 million retail. Our timeframes for the revenue when funded is $50,000 monthly by January of 23, $75,000 monthly by July of 23, $100,000 monthly by October of 23, and $250,000 monthly by March of 24. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to your questions.
All right, great job, Gary. If you can unshare your screen, fantastic. So do you have any questions for Gary? Any hunters in the group here? Any archers in the group here?
Myself, I do bow fishing, not quite the land mammals, but more into the fishing category.
Okay, I can answer your questions.
Questions for Gary? Any questions from Tim, Chase, Pablo?
Here, Gary, I have a question.
Yeah, Dalton.
Sure. From Dalton over here. I'm not a hunter, but I saw that you had $2 million in inventory. How have your, I guess, like, what are you doing with that inventory? Why can't you sell that inventory? And
that's a good question. What we've done is we made sure our inventory and those supply chains are in place. We've had online sales. Now we're looking to expand with the social media and with the influencers, because the new way to market your products is through that. It's not your brick and mortar stores. We are in shills, so we are in the sporting goods stores, but we've just geared up to where it's everything is paid for. I guess I want to say that we don't have any debt, and so that is just what we've done to make sure that we're able to supply when and if this all goes forward.
And when did you get into shields, and what's your sales been like so far?
We just got into shields, so that's a good question. We only been in shields since the first part of the year, so those numbers are not to us yet on the next round of what they want for inventory.
Okay.
Sure. Thanks, Dalton. Asher, you got a question? Asher, are you there? I think you might be muted, Asher.
Yeah, again, give me a second or two. Sorry.
No problem.
The hands don't work like they used to, unfortunately. It's the beauty of spinal injuries. So Gary, question is, as you're giving the presentation, you're giving information about how you've done things to make the weapon more powerful and things like that. And it's kind of as you're doing that, interesting, my mind kind of works. Have you thought through the kind of the down the road implications about, people talk about gun control, but it's now, people, as it becomes more gun control, then, you have, people who want to create havoc, they go to, other weapons, and then they use your weapon, for instance.
Right.
And then you have legislators think, well, let's get in front of that and let's start putting making licensing on these on your type of product, because they want to get in touch. So have you thought through any of these implications at all?
Okay, go ahead. Just did I interrupt you? I'm sorry.
No, that was it.
Good.
Okay. That's actually a really good question. We have thought about that, but we're out from the West, and there are over 18 million bow hunters in the United States right now that are licensed. Of those 11 million, our product is needed in all of those hands because it's ethical, it's humane, and it helps you find and recover that animal, because there's nothing worse than losing that animal. And archery it's a family-oriented opportunity to spend time. There's a lot of families that go out, and hunting sometimes gets a bad rap, but it's really not, in that it gives you the opportunity to spend time with your family. A lot of people use this to supplement their food source, especially in the South and in Texas, down in the southern part of the country. Just for example, in Ohio, there is, I think it's over 1.5 million hunters just that buy licenses in Ohio. So, the need for this product, especially on making sure that it's humane and those animals are not left out there, is, astronomical. With just 1% of those hunters just getting this product into their hands, I just want to say every hunter needs it, I guess is what I want to say.
Thanks, Gary. We'll take one or two more questions from Gary before we close up. But we'll take a quick story, Gary. The archery badge was the very last badge my son got before he became an Eagle Scout. So it was a proud moment for my family. So questions? Any more questions for Gary? We're going to open up our general Q&A in just a second. Gary, if you haven't already, make sure you put your contact information, website and such in the chat so everyone can take a look at it. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's there already. Thank you.
Fantastic. Hey, let's give a virtual round of applause to our 12 companies today. Woo! Congratulations. Great job, everybody. Great job. I think we have somebody. Jolene, you have a questions or some feedback? Go ahead.
No, that was a virtual clap.
Okay, good. Virtual claps. Good. Awesome. Well, let's do this. We've got about 20 minutes left before we have our hard break. So what I'd like to do is, if there's any additional feedback we could get on particular presentations or any presentations in general from our investors, let's start with that. So I'd love to hear from any of our investors, whether that be Chase, Michael, Craig, Tim, anybody. Let's hear some feedback.
I think one thing, just a piece of feedback that I would give is during your pitches, you only have 5 minutes. You want to make them, as concise as possible. Spending as much time as possible on the important things and not as much time on like the advisors and things like that, unless they are very strategic to your business. Going through each individual advisor seems like it could be kind of a waste of time to me.
Awesome. Thanks, Chase. Anyone else have feedback? Tim? You're muted currently.
Yeah, gotta find that mute button on the 3 screens here. But no, I mean, it really is. There's an art and a science to pitching and to presenting yourself, and a lot of it is just practice and getting great feedback, like from Chase. I mean, I think that's a really good piece. I think most people on this call, investors and entrepreneurs, are pretty quick studies, and so kind of getting up to speed on what you're doing isn't so much the challenge. It's much more, okay, got it. I understand what you're doing now. Help me understand where you're at in the process. We all understand this is a process. To build a company is just an absolute massive series of solving problems and building, and it just takes time. And so we're very understanding of that. You're going to be in a different phase at different points, and that's okay. Just help us know where you're at and what do you need to keep moving. And I think there are some ideas and concepts that might be a little harder for all of us to kind of grasp, and so it's good to get into some detail. But Chase's point is solid. Really focus on less on the nitty gritty detail that is more appropriate for a deck, and I think that a lot of the founders have done a good job on that today, and I think there's just a constant tweaking, and then I do appreciate. I've noticed a number of great founders here on the call who have been on multiple calls. They've been in this event. 2 of them came here to the space station when we did this event here live, and I think it's awesome that there's just a grit, there's a persistence there that is great. And I think leading into the next 12 to 18 months, it's going to take that kind of grit to succeed. So well done.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot more frog kissing, going forward.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim.
Exactly.
Farrell, feedback, question?
Yeah, thank you. Amazing presentations, really great teams. One consistent kind of item that I kept on seeing missing and we kept on asking for was the competitive landscape slide. So if you could please make sure, or any of the other mentors, that they cover that, just because it just paints a clearer picture for investors. Outside of that, I think it was really great experience, wonderful meeting you all, and thank you for having us.
Fantastic. Anybody have any questions they want to ask of our investors? You can throw that into chat, and I'll be happy to monitor those questions. And while we're doing that, I did throw into chat some of our upcoming events that we have. As I mentioned before, we have a podcasting webinar coming up on the 18th of this month. We will be live in Tampa, Florida on October 13th, and we'll be back online December 1st. So any questions for our investor panels? Okay, any last words that anybody wants to share? Well, with that, I
just want to throw some claps in the chat for our boy Scott. Just well done as always. This is it's hard to get this many humans in a virtual room, and just always great event. So good job, man. Thank you.
Thank you. We had a good question from Joe, and I think this is really appropriate. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk and a lot of press lately about it getting harder to fundraise. So I'd love to get some of the investor feedback of what you're seeing in the environment, and maybe what steps you're taking in determining what to invest in. Does anybody want to field that question? Craig, you want to field that one?
Sure, I'll jump in on this. I think that, with the current market conditions
and what's going down, I guess, on a macro level. You know, I would say that from what we're seeing is that, you know, valuations are dropping, that the ridiculous kind of valuations we saw a year, 18 months ago have dropped, not substantially, but they've dropped, which is in a way good to see, because there were some valuations out there that were, you know, pre-market, pre-anything, $25 million valuation. It just didn't make sense, right? So other than that, you know, I do think that a recession is coming, probably in the next quarter. You're gonna, you know, the Fed and the government can say whatever they want about two quarterly, you know, drops in GDP and say, no, that's not a recession. Well, when the third one happens, they're going to have to admit it at that point. So I think that's when we go into Q4 with a little bit of a recession. I don't know how long that's going to last, but I think that in terms of, you know, the VC model, money will still flow in. There's still lots of money out there to be traded and to be invested, and I don't think that's going to change. It's just the purse strings are going to tighten a bit. So for the companies out there, just be realistic on valuations and, you know, go at it really hard that way.
Thanks, Greg. So Chase, real quick, I'm going to treat this question to you first. Your hand's up. So obviously, what should entrepreneurs do now in the face of a pending recession and the possibility of lower valuations? Chase, can you chime in on that?
Yeah, I think, and this is such a broad question, you could probably expand onto it for 30 minutes if someone really wanted to. And to kind of touch on what Craig said, being realistic with your evaluation. Public markets and private markets don't always match each other, but they do correct in the same ways. And understanding, you know, 6 months ago, 25x multiple on a software company was something that you could see pretty often. And now it's, I think where we currently are, I wouldn't say it's more of a correction to like appropriate valuations in a lot of ways. And VCs that have dry powder, this is a great time for people to invest. So I don't see that side of investing slowing down. However, I've seen quite a few companies that are great companies, but they're just overvaluating themselves. You need to be very conscious of what industry you're in. If I'm looking at a CPG company that has a 10x multiple, you know, what's the likelihood of them getting acquired at a 10x multiple? It's almost zero. So just understanding what industry you're in, what the exit multiples are in that industry. And I think that's a big thing, is just understanding, you know, what's your potential for an exit? Who's your, you know, target acquirer, whether it's, you know, you going public or you being acquired by, you know, another large company, or is it going to be, you know, I just really can't elaborate on that more, like enough, just really understanding like what should your company be valued at in the current conditions and valuing your company at that.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate that, Chase, because, you know, honestly, you know, every once in a while I see somebody come up with their mathematically or accounting calculated evaluations. And, you know, I have to continue to remind them it is probably more art than science. And market issues play into that. Anyone else want to share some feedback on you know, what they're seeing and what they're doing? And also, you know, as I mentioned before, what should our startups and entrepreneurs do now to not only thrive in this environment, but maybe even survive? Any thoughts or ideas?
I can add one thing.
Sure.
So what we were doing, I guess, earlier in the year when we were looking at potential investment candidates was we were putting a little bit of emphasis on budget. So if we were investing in a company, we'd want them to have at least like 1 year, 12 months run rate, and before they raise the following round. And now, given the current market conditions and understanding how there's a little bit more uncertainty in it, a lot of the investments that we're potentially looking at now, we want them to have at least 18 to 24 months of runway before they need to start raising again, because just we're not sure where the market's trending towards, whether a recession's coming, how long it's going to last. We want to make sure that portfolio companies and companies that we're actively engaged with are prepared for maybe a little bit longer sales cycle, or they don't hit the sales targets they were forecasting for. So we just want to make sure companies are prepared on that side. So that's one thing that we're actively doing with some of our portfolio companies, but also with companies that are still in our pipeline.
Fantastic. Thanks, Justin. Asher, love to get your feedback on the current environment and what they should be doing.
Well, yeah, the current, I mean, I agree, the current environment is very difficult. I mean, valuations have come down, particularly more so certainly in the A, B, and definitely in the C, D rounds, very much so. I would say less so in the C seed area. They've, but you're talking, much less lower numbers. So, but they're still down. Yeah, but what you can be doing, and what I'm seeing particularly, I mean, I invested all the rounds, but my favorite is to get in early because that's where it's most fun. Is that you still have to have, which is why I said at the beginning, metrics are important. So although I've invested at the napkin stage, that was years ago. Now you need metrics, and you've got to get that whichever way you can. Whether that means having to drive for Uber, or however you have to get side hustle money to feed to fund your business in order to help. I mean, you need to go those extra different steps to really show that grit and resiliency and whatever other words you want to show for it. But doing it without metrics now, I think is very near impossible.
Thanks. It's really interesting as you mentioned Uber, and Tim, you'll appreciate this. On my Uber ride back to the airport, there was a sleeve of executive summaries for anybody who wanted to read them on the long airport ride. So I think you can have a good purpose there. Jolie, let's hear some what your feedback and thoughts.
Well, we're in the impact space. We spent a lot of time in the last 3 or 4 months with family offices and private equity. So we spent a lot of time in that space. But I will tell you that tried and true as a former entrepreneur and as a longtime angel, I always advise entrepreneurs in mentorship or whatever, please de-risk your investment. Please see if you can get non-dilutive funding upfront, whether it's grants, foundations, whatever, but do your homework. If you can get non-dilutive funding and de-risk the investment early on, the angel investor in any market will look at you a lot more seriously.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jolene. Well, let's do this. In closing, I'd like to, first of all, thank all of our presenting companies, all of our investors for taking their valuable time and giving some valuable feedback. This is being recorded and has been recorded. I will have a copy of the recording going out to not just the people on this call, but a lot more people later this week or early next. And as I always close, if you didn't like today, tell me. If you like today, tell everybody else. And with that, I'd like to thank you all and wish you a very good weekend and good luck. And now I'm going into the rain in the sunny part of the state. Have a great day.
Thanks, Scott.
See you,
Thanks,
everyone. Good job, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care. Thanks a lot, Scott, for putting this on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. It
You're
was
welcome.
lovely again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for
Good
coming.
night.
Appreciate it, Scott. Have a good one.
Take care, Rich. Thank you. All righty. I'm closing out. Good night, everybody.